Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another edition of DAX Machina. Joining me tonight in the studio is Anthony Pitbull Canatella, Robbie Rains, our wild man from South Crackalacky. Uncle John is in the house, and joining us tonight is a very special guest, Max Hawthorne, the man, the myth, the legend. When it comes to cryptids in the water, this is the guy. He is the prince of paleo fiction with an amazing series called Kronos Rising. If you guys have not checked that out, it is on my highest list of books to recommend. He's a great writer. If you guys are a fan of my writing, you're going to like his. We have a lot of similarities in certain ways. Great stories with enough fast pace is going to keep you really on the edge of your seat. So, Max, take it from here, brother. Go ahead and jump in. Tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about your background, and we are going to go from there.
What?
That was good.
My background. Oh my gosh.
Now we're getting into it. There we go.
Oh, that's a lot. How much? I mean, like.
Well, give us the Cliff Notes then.
The Cliff Notes version. Okay. A full-time novelist. With Carpentry Press. I write usually sci-fi thrillers. You mentioned the Kronos Rising series, which is where the hashtag Jaws meets Jurassic Park was originated from. And it's exactly that. Giant prehistoric marine life, supposedly extinct, alive in the present, wreaking death, destruction, and eating people alive, all that good stuff. Obviously, the plot's a little more, detailed than that. I've done other books ranging from a children's book called I Want a Tyrannosaurus for Christmas, to Memoirs of a Gym Rat, an investigation into all the seedy side of the health club industry, to Monsters and Marine Mysteries, which was a cryptid research book that came out, I think, last year. And now I have a book called The Sleigh coming out on Halloween, which is a horror thriller, which is a bit of a digression from the Kronos Rising series, although it's technically in the same universe. Should I keep going? I don't want to bore anybody.
Yeah.
And
you got a diverse setup there, yeah.
Real quick before we jump in any further, just so everybody that's already tuning in and checking this out, where can they find your work before we go any further?
Amazon carries everything. Typically hardcovers, softcovers, ebooks, audibles, all that good stuff. If they go on the website, which is either kronosrising.com, Kronos with a K, I think that's the Greek spelling. Kronos.
I believe so.
Right.
Yeah, not the CR. And or maxhawthorne.com. You'll find stuff there. There's a gallery of stuff. There's a free book section you can check out, etc. And of course, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. If you look there, look up Max Hawthorne author, because there's like 1,000 phony Max Hawthornes out there. Believe it or not, I'm not kidding. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of them.
Right.
Like when I first started, it was just me 8 years ago. Now they're everywhere. It's like crazy. But anyway.
Yeah.
Or you can find me
when I first moved here, my name, John Allen, was the only one in the phone book. Now there's a full page, Well, there's no phone books anymore.
Yeah.
It's telling my age.
Well, we are going to be talking about marine cryptids here in just a little bit, but before we get started, I know the juicy details in the making on this are going to be interesting. But folks, I know everybody that's been a fan of the show really enjoys the Sasquatch and Dogman encounters, and Max has had encounters with both. So we're going to jump in just a little bit and talk to Max about his Dogman encounter that he's recently had on his property. And he also had a very good Bigfoot sighting I'd like him to recap. I know he told that the last time he was on the show, but I'd like to go over that because we've got a much broader audience than we did before. And I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard this story, but I want to talk to Max a little bit about some of the land-born cryptids that he's had encountered with before we jump into the big shark of the night, the Megalodon. So, Max, let's start out with the Bigfoot one. You and I talked about that one on the phone. that I like that story. It is a really great story. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long time ago. It's probably close to 30 years ago. My family, we used to have a house on the lake, Candlewood Lake, up in Connecticut, in Danbury. It's a big, gorgeous lake. It's got like 50 miles of coastline, and connected to Candlewood is technically part of Candlewood, a lake. It's 2 miles long, so it's definitely a lake. It's called Squant Pond. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Squantz, obviously Native American. And one side of that lake is open to the public, and the other side, the land goes back into I guess it's what you call government land or whatever, a park, you know, like a national park type of situation.
Right.
So it's it's very rough down there. If you've seen the photos I posted and stuff, very hilly, very mountainous, and I mean boulders the size of houses. Sometimes it's so thick you have to be very careful. You could never run through that place. Let's put it that way, unless you were a deer or something. But so my brothers and I were passionate fishermen. And I guess I was around 27 at the time. I had two of my knuckleheads with me, and we decided we were going to get up while it was still pitch black out. We were going to go to Squant's, and there's what's called a causeway there, like a little road that separates Candlewood, the mother lake, with Squant's. Okay, and I think it was either one or two lanes. It was built up of rocks, and then it had obviously the little asphalt on top of it, and to allow the water to flow back and forth, and I guess for animals to pass back and forth, there's like maybe a 6-foot wide reinforced concrete tube that goes under the causeway and connects the two lakes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's a deer, muskrat. I mean, not deer, with fish. Anything could swim back and forth. Okay, so our plan was there was a lot of rocks there. Obviously, it was built up with big chunks of gravel and stuff, and we were going to cast out there and fish. We figured there'd be bass lurking around at the crack of dawn and stuff, and we brought shiners, and that was our plan. Unfortunately, we were not the most savvy fishermen. We didn't really check the weather and stuff, and it had rained its butt off all the night before. So when we got there, there was like mist on top of the lake. It was flat, calm, and the water was the color of coffee. Like, and I don't mean without cream. Okay, like that kind of stuff. So we set up shop, and we were not having any luck. We were sitting there and fishing and stuff. And then they decided to get up, and they were going to cross over the causeway, go to the other side, and fish Candlewood. So I figured, fine, you guys go, I'll stay here. I'm figuring I'll have all this to myself. Sooner or later, big bass is going to come. I'm going to catch them. They're going to be, rivalry.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm not catching anything. And I mean, we didn't have cell phones then, obviously, but they weren't catching anything. And I start seeing this thing out in the lake I'd have to go there to like eyeball it and gauge the distance. It might have been 100 or 150 feet out to start on, I guess. But there was something on the surface of the lake, and I could see just the top of it, just kind of bobbing up, down, and then it would go under, and then it would come up again. It might be a few feet closer, and it would keep doing this. It would go down, disappear for a minute or so, come back up, and I was looking at it. I'm like, what am I looking at here? And the whole notion of Bigfoot or Sasquatch or anything like that was alien to me. I had never read up on anything. I don't even think I'd ever seen the Patterson-Gimlin footage at that point, to be honest. So all I know was this thing, it was kind of roundish, and it was dark, and it looked like it was covered with hair. So I thought, oh, it's a muskrat, but then I realized it was too big. I'm like, no, that's a muskrat. I'm like, it's a beaver. It was kind of the color of a beaver, dark, rusty, reddish brown or something like that, and it had that shape. It could have been a beaver's, body or butt or something like that. It was like, I guess, yay big and all. But as I'm looking, I see it pop up, and I'm like, it kind of looked like a head, and then I realized there was more behind it. So it was much bigger than it looked. I was estimating it was like 5 feet long, something like that, from where I'm seeing the forced perspective. But so I'm like, what is that? And so I stood up, and I'm looking at it, and I could sort of see parts behind it when it comes to the surface, and I think they were legs. But when they moved and it went to submerge, they moved together. So if what this was a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot or whatever it was, they apparently swim with the legs together like mermaids do, like girls in mermaid costumes,
Right.
that thing. They don't flutter kick, because that's what it was doing. The legs went like this, and then it went under, and it would go under the bottom and come back up. And I'm looking, I'm like, is that a deer? And I'm like, no, because deer don't swim like that. Deer don't submerge. Maybe moose do, but this obviously wasn't a moose.
Yeah.
And it had this round top of its head, and deer swim like the Nessie thing, the head, the neck, and the body's flat. Okay. So I'm like, it's not a deer. I'm like, it looked like it was, maybe it's a big Irish setter. I'm like, I could not figure it out for the life of me what it was doing. But it would go down, disappear for a minute or so, and then it would come back up. In retrospect, I realized that it was eating crayfish. That area is heavily known for crayfish. I found that out, confirmed it after this. And it was going down, eating crawdads, coming back up for air, and then going back down. And each time it was working its way closer to me. So at the point that where I got a better look at it, it was probably about maybe 75 feet away, I guess. So I started backing up the hill a little bit because I wanted to get higher up so I could see down on it, so I could see it better, And it was more light out at this point anyway. So as I did that, I stepped on some of the gravel, like slid out on me. It made a lot of noise. And the thing, I guess, before that, it didn't know I was there. It was flat, calm, crack of dawn, quiet, whatever. So as that happened, it went like it dove, splashed, and went under. And as it went under, I saw its left shoulder and its upper arm and its forearm broke the surface of the water. Like, if I could do this right. Whoops. What happened there? Sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. But you could see, like, if the water cut across here, all this was exposed like that. Okay. And it had arms like mine, but bigger, but covered with long, dripping, reddish brown hair. Covered, but it was a humanoid arm, but very muscular. Right. And it went right under, boosh, with a big splash. And then I could see the disturbance. It was swimming right towards me and right towards that tunnel that went underwater. And I saw its shadow shoot through and the water wave like that. And it looked a little bigger, honestly, than 5 feet as it passed under there, but it went through. And so I ran up the hill, almost got hit by a car, ran to the other side where my brothers were. And I'm like, guys, at this point I was calling it the hairy red thing. Okay. That was my name for it. Very scientific. Okay. I'm like, guys, it's a big hairy red thing. I said, and it's swimming through right now. I said, watch, it's going to come through right now. They're all standing there watching and stuff. And of course, by the time I got up there, almost got killed, crossed down, this thing it was already through. So we're standing there like, you're an idiot, whatever. But right as they said that, something started crashing in the lily pads about 50, 100 feet to our left at the edge of the shoreline where the drop off was. And It was like in the lily pads under them, and it was moving through there. You could see them like that and stuff. And it kept working its way through until it got around the bend, and then it was gone. So whatever it was smart enough to conceal itself and go in there and hide. And it was able, I guess, to surface for air under the lily pads or something maybe.
Right.
But that's what it was doing. So I talked about this on a show, maybe last year, and a guy wrote in, and I even have his text message and stuff, and he said, tell Max, he goes, he's exactly right. He said, I know the area well, fish the causeway, there's definitely a ton of crayfish there. And then he said, we used to go to squants and camp there in the late 70s and the early 80s. And he said they stopped going because they had 2 incidents that scared them. The first was they came to their camp and it had been ransacked, like ripped apart. The tents, everything scattered, thrown over, everything was like destroyed. And he said back then they thought it was the work of crazed hippies. Okay. But then, like, the next time they went, they were on squants very early, and they were in a canoe on the far side by the woods. And as they were paddling along, and they're fairly close to shore, he didn't say exact distance, but up ahead of them, there was a tiny clearing, and this huge buck came crashing through, running for its life like something was chasing it. It dove right in the water, right in front of their canoe, did not care that they were there, and swam across the lake as if the devil was chasing it. And they heard something pursuing it that was crashing through, boom, 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 through the trees. And then it stopped short of coming right into this little clearing, and it stayed there. And then it started throwing rocks and stuff at them. Rocks, pieces of branch, shit like that. Sorry, excuse my language.
You're fine. We say way worse than that all the time.
Yeah, we say worse than that. Yeah.
I curse like a sailor on here, which I got to stop. But anyway,
okay. Well, then F it. But anyway, so, he said they were getting like pelted by this thing, and they started screaming, "Hey, yo, we're here in the canoe! Cut it the hell out!" Whatever. So, and then it stopped. So he said, it didn't dawn on me until you said this. He goes but I'm sure now that was like a Bigfoot was chasing this deer. Now, if you think about it, what else could be chasing a deer?
Mhm.
To try and keep, first of all, what would scare a big buck
Right.
enough to make him run and don't dive into a lake and swim across where houses were on the other side? That's number
Right.
one. What could chase a buck through that terrain? I mean, that terrain is lethal. Maybe a bear, but why? Bears don't pick up rocks and throw them at people.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
takes hands.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I had found like 100-year-old, when I was doing Monsters and Marine Mysteries, I found like a newspaper article, and it was about that lake. And they said, like, fishermen spot hairy wild child swimming in lake. That's what the article said. And when I asked, like, Shannon LeGros, I think it was, she does a show, she said back then nobody used the term Bigfoot or Sasquatch, like 1918, I think
Right.
it was. So that's what they called them, hairy wild child or something like that. So I think this was like a young one who was like breaking the rules and going out with his addiction for potato chips, meaning crayfish, and he was out there diving for crayfish and stuff like that, not realizing that quiet thing sitting on a bucket, was a person. So anyway, that's what happened.
There you go.
That's an awesome story,
Yeah.
and especially corroborated by other sightings in that area. I think
Yeah.
that's really freaking cool.
Well, if they ever get footage of a Bigfoot actually swimming, when their legs are moving together, you'll be like, son of a gun, Max was right.
Yeah.
And that's a great detail. And when we study these crypto reports, when we talk to people from different parts of the country, it's details like that we look for to start establishing behaviors. So I love hearing new details, because then I start watching for them to appear somewhere else. And if it's from somebody from clear across the country, you're like, hey, we've got a match here.
I just remember seeing that arm, and it was very muscular. I was looking at it, I'm like, is that an orangutan? Like is somebody's pet orangutan out here swimming in a lake, diving 20 feet deep in that one section?
I didn't think orangutans liked water.
They don't. So,
No.
all the stranger. But this thing was very comfortable in the water, and it could hold its breath, for 1-2 minutes with no problem. I mean, it was down there for a while.
Doesn't smoke.
Well, there are lots of accounts of them eating crayfish and mussels and crab.
Yeah, Fred from Alaska. Remember, he mentioned that when they were at the fish camp, they would find mussels cracked open right on the shoreline, and crayfish. They would find a whole bunch of sea life. Just even the fish. When he would hang out the fish, remember, DA? It would steal it.
Yeah,
It would steal stringers of fish and just run off with them. So
Does Anthony know we lost him?
no, I'm
no.
here.
Oh,
he blinks his camera once
I'm
in a while.
smoking. I'm having a cigarette.
Oh.
Yeah, YouTube standards won't allow us to show tobacco use on the air.
Yeah.
it's tobacco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can get demonetized for it. So when he wants to light up, he just blacks out his camera.
I black it out. I think, I don't think anybody knows that. They all think I don't know why I do it, but now they know.
Memoirs of a Gym Rat.
That's it.
Things I've seen, let me tell you. My God.
Yeah, we won't get into the hot dog one yet, but that's probably it. Yeah, I'm smoking a cigarette.
Nothing.
So Max, you said that was like 30 years ago?
Pretty close to it. I was like 27, 28 maybe back then.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm 57 now, so yeah, close.
Really, I wouldn't have guessed you to be older than me.
So
I would have guessed you to be in your mid 40s.
Did you see any muscle structure on it at all, or no? No muscle structure?
It was very muscular, but it was covered with long,
Right.
I mean, obviously soaked, like the hair was hanging as a
Right.
kid. But I mean, its arm looked easily as big as mine, and if not bigger. And I got some guns, so, but
same thing here. When I had my sighting, it was the same thing. It was very, very, it looked like how can I put it? Remember, you know who Batista is, the wrestler, right?
yes. In fact,
Okay.
he body slammed my friend Jason once on wrestling on the show.
There
But,
you go.
yeah.
But that's what it looked like to me, but like a taller version. It was tall, my sighting, and it wasn't a beach body, but you could see all the cuts, the muscular tone in him. It wasn't like me, you, or Robbie, or like, oh yeah, look, it's an old age fat guy standing in the woods or something like that. This guy looked like he was in the gym. The rest, don't put your hands up. You know it's true, so don't go there. Anyway, it looked like somebody that lived their life in the gym ever since they were a kid. This guy was just so defined in muscles.
Well, the biggest gym in the world.
Mm-hmm.
All of it
Yeah,
can't be
you're
built like a
climbing
pit bull
trees,
there.
throwing boulders around and stuff like that. It's a good
Yeah.
workout.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I saw this feral cat out here, and I was petting it and all that, and it felt like a statue.
Yeah.
Because it was living in the wild and climbing trees and hunting and stuff.
It's
And I'm
solid,
like, there are big Siberians, and I'm like, you guys are freaking powder puffs.
Right.
It's time for you guys to work out. Let's go.
Well, it's like that. Even wolves. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at a wolf. When there's a wolf rescue, and my uncle could tell you when they had the wolves up here, them things were so
muscular. Yeah.
muscular. It was ridiculous. And we got 3 pit bulls in the house,
Mhm.
and pit bulls are muscular and toned, but this thing takes the cake. This thing, I mean, you could see the muscle tone on these on these wolves. It was just ridiculous. So
And that's all the more impressive because they're not short hairs either.
nope.
No.
No. And that's the whole thing, I mean, my uncle's dog is 120, 130 pound pit bull. He's a big boy, and he's got
Yeah.
some muscle tone to him, but nothing like a wolf does. It's like, damn,
Oh no.
You could
Well,
see it.
Speaking of the muscle tone on dogs, Max, you've had a recent encounter with possibly a Dogman.
I don't know what it was. It was very pissed. I can tell you that much. But all right, yeah, we'll do it. All right, so I live in a semi-upscale area, let's say, but I'm bordered by the woods.
Okay.
And I mean, it's like literally like where I'm pointing my backyard ends at the woods,
Yeah.
and there's one house next to me. We're very top of the hill, and then it's woods for God knows how long. I mean, I get deer. If I'm here early in the morning writing, I look out the window. There's 5, 6 deer out there grazing, looking at me, wondering if I'm going to feed them, whatever. I've had scores of wild turkeys for some reason right after Thanksgiving. I think it's like a convention that they survive.
Yeah, they know.
Out back. We've had mule deer, which are not supposed to exist in Pennsylvania, but I had a herd.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you name it, bobcats. I had 4-inch mountain lion tracks in the snow here one time. The
That's
list
a
goes
big.
on.
Yeah, that's big.
But so there's a lot of wildlife around here. So this happened November of this last year. I don't remember the exact date, but if I looked on maybe the Dogman page, your group, it's probably in there somewhere. But I know it was a Sunday night because my wife had me take out the trash, and then later, like 10 or 11 p.m., she had given me we have 2 litter robots for our cats. Do you know what those are?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, the big, expensive Death Star looking things that you don't have to change the litter box very often.
Right.
So, but when you get all the contents of that, so I have like 15 or 20 pounds in a sack of cat poop. Okay,
Right.
I got to take this out and add it to the trash. Okay, it was like I said, late November. It was cool out. I wouldn't say freezing though. And so I go walking out there, and I walk out, and I remember the recycling can was on my left, so the trash can was closer. So I lift up the lid, and I'm about to put it in there, and in the blackness, right across the street, in the dark, this thing couldn't have been more than 75 feet away. Something very large growled at me. It was like a very threatening kind of snarl. And believe me, I know a threat when I hear one. Okay, I'm going to try and imitate it, but I'm going to do a sorry, version of it. But it kind of sounded like this, like that. But it was very wet at the end. Like there was drool involved, which was even scarier, if you know what I'm saying. Because this thing was like salivating or something, okay? And it was big enough that you felt it through the soles of your feet and deep enough, like the resonance, So you could tell it was very large, okay? And it sounded very angry. And I'm holding this now. I freeze because I'm armed with a sack of cat shit. It's not a very good position to be in.
Should have threw it at him. Just throw it at him. Wow.
No. So I slowly dropped it in there. I closed the lid, and then I backed up, backed up the driveway, and I went in the house. And then I told my wife, I said, something very large and scary just growled at me from right across the street. And she said, oh, why don't you take your flashlight and go see what it is? And I said, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. So I got my flashlight and my gun, okay, my sidearm to be exact, carry permit, etc., and all that. And it was holstered, and I went outside, and I walked down to the trash cans, and I went into the street right past them. So I was a little bit closer. I don't want to get super close because, if this thing came at me in a rush, I wanted to have a little bit of time. Okay. And I took my flashlight and I shined it like this and I swept it back and forth the woods. And I even went up. I was looking for, I tell you something, if I saw eye shine like 9-10 feet in the air, I would have had a heart attack and died right on the spot. But anyway, and I looked and looked. I didn't see anything, but I could feel it was watching me. I know that sounds weird, but I could feel. And I actually tried to antagonize it a little bit. I was like, I had my hand on this, and I was like, and the flash, I'm like, come on. I'm like, come on. I'm like, come and get some.
So you
like,
wanted this thing to come out at you?
Yes, I did, honestly. Okay, because I'm not going to be punked outside of my house. Okay, I don't care what you are. And I wanted to see what it was, honestly, etc. But because I know what a bear sounds like, and we don't have any grizzlies around here or anything like that. This didn't even sound grizzly-like. It certainly wasn't a black bear, not from the sound of it or anything.
Right.
But it didn't do anything. It didn't come out and everything. I waited, and then I backed up again. I'm not turning my back on the woods at this point, and I went back in the house. I was stupid because we had cameras there on the top of the house, infrared, and the doorbell, and I should have checked it. At least it would have shown what I was doing.
Right.
I don't know if it would have gone that far because it was pitch black over there, but maybe. But so that's what happened. So then, after that, like I said, this was around the end of November. I started putting a camera trap out there in the woods to see if I could get this thing on film, whatever it was. Some grizzly bear that didn't realize they don't live in the area anymore, or whatever it might have been.
Right.
Like I'll run away from anyone holding a bag of cat shit. Can you imagine? If it came at me and I hit it in the face, threw it at it, poof, and it burst. It was like, oh, and then it's smashing in the walls of my house and stuff.
Honestly,
son of a.
That's probably why it was after you, because you had a cat bag of cat shit. That's any kind of dog. That's
I
creepy.
realized why it was threatening me. See, because the night before, I like to go for long walks around my neighborhood a lot of times at night. I'm chunky now, but when I did it last year, I lost 47 pounds in 5 months. Okay, doing this. So I had gone out the night before and I had walked for 10 minutes only, and I had to take a leak quite badly. And I didn't want to lose my groove and go in the house and this and that stuff. So I had walked into the woods right there, and I went in maybe 40 feet into the woods. There was a fallen log, and I christened it. Okay. And then I went back.
Your spot, yeah.
You marked your territory in its territory.
Exactly. And I'm sure I smelled the same, especially after I peed myself, after it growled at me. But,
just a dribble or two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, and it knew it was me. I'm positive. Okay. And it was threatening me, warning me, whatever you want to call it. So to draw stuff in, I kept peeing on the tree where I put the camera trap. And this camera trap was bringing in, well, you saw a couple of the footage.
I've got the footage loaded if you want to, show it.
Foxes, raccoons, opossums, tons of deer. They would come right up to the trap. A lot of them, some of the animals, like the fox, can see infrared because he looked right at it like this and everything. You could see it, right? But so I would assume this thing could see the infrared beam also. But so I kept doing that, and that smell would draw things in. And there were multiple incidents where there were deer where all of a sudden they turned and they saw something, and I sent you 2 of them, and they ran for their lives, just booked.
Yeah, I have those 2 loaded anytime you want to show them.
Yeah, I have me?
Yeah, if you want me, if you want to want me to show those videos you sent.
Oh yeah, if you want to show them, that's great. But I have one that's in the daylight, and she was just hauling ass, running across the whole thing, like high speed, low to the ground. And I shared it in your group, and people were like, "Oh, well, a buck might have been chasing her." Well, if the buck was chasing her, he was pretty far back because the camera runs for another 10 or 15 seconds, and there's nothing following her.
Yeah.
She was terrified and running. She was scrambling for it. Okay, but so yeah, but I sent you two of them that were close to the time. One I think was like the 24th. And then the photo of the track I sent you, I found that track on the 28th, and the footage of the second one with the buck that runs was that the night that I found the track, like later that night, if that makes sense, And the one with the buck is a little more interesting because you see the impressions in the ground and stuff like that. But I'll wait.
I'll show the buck one first, but I spotted something in the doe video that we'll show the buck first. But when we get ready to show the doe video, I'll talk about it a little bit more. So
is that the second one in the background?
Yes.
Yeah, because I lightened it and I saw her.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna show the buck video, and then we'll talk about it in a minute. Again, we don't see what chases the buck; we just get to see the behavior. So here we go with the buck video.
That's not. Was that it?
Yeah, that was the buck video.
No, I sent you the wrong one then. There was one where he literally looks and he runs for his life. He just takes off.
Yeah, that's the one I have, unfortunately.
I screwed up.
Well, the doe video is pretty interesting because if you look at the doe and then look behind her and to the left, there's something behind the tree and it looks dog-like. It looks like it could be maybe a wolf, but it's pretty good sized. So look at the doe and look to the left of the doe behind the tree, and if you look, you can see it, but first thing you'll see is its eyes, and then you get a glimpse of it, and then the camera kind of fades off of it. Here we go. Did you see it behind the tree? You could see the eyes, and then you just kind of get a glimpse of it moving.
Wait. I didn't see the part where she runs.
Those are the two videos you sent me, man.
Okay, something. I must have messed up here or something. Hold on a second. Let me see if I could figure this out.
I do have the track if you'd like me to show that.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't make sense that for me to screw up and have sent you the wrong stuff. It's like they're being cut or something like that. You're not seeing the whole thing.
I'm not even seeing it. Rob, are you seeing it?
No, because every time it goes up, it pops up that your mic has been muted across the top of the screen.
Yeah.
Right where Dave's wanting us to look.
And that's all black. Yeah.
I'm not seeing it either. It's black.
All I got was a big black screen.
Like when the doe raises her head up, her head is covered by that little "your mic is muted" box.
Right.
And I tried to send you these on Facebook, and the file's too big because it's 67 meg. So I had to use WeTransfer to send you the stuff.
Well, they tell you to shorten the clip, one or the other.
Well, they didn't suggest that. I should have thought of that myself. But is there a way for me to play it myself where like a screen share, or I'm just going to WeTransfer it to you right now, unless there's a way for me to edit this thing.
There might be a way for you to do it. Look at the bottom of the screen and see if there is a add source button for you.
Add source button.
There should be one that looks like a screen with an up arrow that also says share screen.
Okay, is this on your stuff?
It's on mine, but it should be on yours as well.
Okay.
There's the bottom where the mic and the camera, and then you got the share screen, the plus sign, and the gear.
Right.
At the very bottom
right
of the
bottom
screen.
of
hold on, there's this private chat is in the way. Okay, hold on a second. Share screen. Okay, so if I click that, it's going to show everything on my screen.
Correct.
And I can show the video.
Yeah.
And then how do I engage that? By hitting it again?
Do you have more than one screen?
I have a bunch of stuff open right now at the top, but I mean, the main screen is what is you guys and us.
Okay. If you've got multiple screens, it's much easier if you put it on the other screen, and then you can select that screen and play the video, and it'll bring it
I
up.
meant multiple windows, not
Oh,
screens.
okay. Yeah. What you'll have to do is click that share screen, and it'll give you the option of which screen to share. But if you just got the one, click on it, and it's going to bring it up. Then play the video, and we should be able to see all of it.
Okay. Allow to select window or screen, and then it says live studio rest stream. Is that what I'm showing, or entire screen, or what?
Let me see.
It says select window or screen, and under that it just says live rest stream Mozilla Firefox. Is that
Okay,
the one?
if that's probably
that's
if that's the only screen you've got, that's what it's going to show.
Or it says entire screen under that.
Yeah, you can click entire screen if you want, and then just change your tabs and play that video.
Okay, so then entire screen, allow. You're sharing your entire screen. Okay, and then
I've got it pulled up there.
Oh, there it is.
Okay,
there it is.
All right, so let me start from the beginning.
Yep.
Then he looks, boom.
Woo, gone.
Yeah,
Saw that,
took
right?
off like a bat out of hell.
Okay,
Yeah.
now, so that was missing. Now, if you could see it here, it got dark when I froze this.
Mhm.
Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, see right here and right here?
Yes.
Okay, you see like there's these dark impressions. This was some of like the gouges in the leaf litter that I saw when I was back there earlier in the day. And where the track was, it was around one of these spots, except that at this point, the leaves have been completely clawed away, and that's how I found the track.
Right.
See? So now let me get rid of this.
And this was in February?
This was December 28th. It's right on the bottom.
Right.
Okay, the time is wrong. It says 7:10 p.m. That's bullshit. So a lot of that stuff
Right.
is wrong there.
You don't have to stop sharing screen. You could just
I
switch videos, but when you get the other video ready, hit that share screen again, and we'll bring it back up.
I'm going to pull that one up too.
Okay.
Let's see here. Trail cameras. Forgive me for, I don't know, but I mean, that's what I sent you. You could see the first part is there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess it compressed it or cut it off. I don't know.
It's weird. Okay, let's see here. I have so many of these. Doe in the dark, wary. Doe sniffing. Doe scared. Okay, found her. Okay, I'm going to pause this. Lower this down. Close that. Share screen. Select entire screen. Allow. Okay, and then I'll hit this.
Fire away.
So she's looking. Boom. You see her?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so she was out of there. Okay, so I can't really see, what you're talking about, but I know there was something else back there because I kind of lightened it and I saw some indication of something.
Right.
It might have been another deer. It was so tough to see. All you really see is the eyes and kind of the form.
Mm-hmm. But so that those depressions, those holes in the leaf litter, to me, it looked like something had like kind of pushed itself forward at speed enough to like gouge out some of the litter. But I found, this right here. Okay, so this was what to me looked like a track, and I wish I could use my cursor on it, but I'm sure I can't. Are you able to use yours, DA?
I don't think so.
Okay, so maybe I got to go back to screen share again. Let's see.
Let me see if I can pull it up on my other screen, and I'll share it, and then I can use my cursor on it. I should be able to share the screen. Here we go.
Cool. So when I
You
looked
see
at
my
this,
cursor?
to me, those were like those three impressions on the far left and a little further. Those to me look like claw marks, like gouges. And keep in mind, this is late December, so it's hard. The soil is very hard. So I saw there was 1, 2, 3 cuts there. And then as I was looking at it after we spoke, I realized that you see that triangular section that's missing right there? Okay, so what happened there is the fourth toe cut into that. And you know how like the permafrost, like the top layer where there's the most moisture is like ice. It gouged that out during the pullback. And then the fifth one is under what looks like seashells further to the right, like the gray little stone right there.
Yeah.
Like, if you look right in there, you can see there's a fifth gouge right there. Not there. No. Move to the right. You see there's like a dark gray stone?
Mhm.
Yeah.
No. Right there. No. You just had it go up. I wish I could move this cursor.
Go over to your right a little bit
Far
more,
right.
DA. No, the other way.
Your
Sorry.
other
Your
right.
left. Your other right. There you
There
go.
you go.
Yeah.
If you look right under that, you look close, there's a gouge running beside that aligns with the other ones. And I think that this indicates to the right of it, though. You see in this cut through the dirt there? When
Yeah.
I saw it. That's another claw mark. So it looks like there's something with 5 toes. At first I thought it was 4 and 1 was missing. It was missing a nail. But when I saw this chunk had gotten pulled out, that tells me that that's what happened. So you're looking at something that has 5 toes, that has non-retractable claws. So this would seem to indicate a bear, logically.
Mhm.
Okay, like a bear tried to bum rush the deer, and the
Right.
deer out. Bears aren't as fast as deer in a short sprint. It's start off speed, whatever, especially in leaf litter. But
I don't think it'd be a coyote, though. It wouldn't be a coyote.
I wish we had something that we were for known scale.
Well, I did that actually. So what I did was, if you look at the top leaf on the left at the very top there,
Yeah.
Right here.
further down, move the whole thing down. No, the other way. Keep going. Right there on that upper left corner. So that's a white oak leaf. Okay. And we've got the whole leaf minus a little bit of the stem. Okay.
Right.
So I looked those up, and a white oak leaf averages, let me find it, 5 to 9 inches in Pennsylvania. Okay. And that means this. So I crunched it up, adding like toe pads, obviously. That means that this track was about 1.17, 1.18 inches as wide as that leaf is, including a stem. Okay. Now this is rough. Okay. But that means that if we go with if we're being conservative and we say that leaf is only 5 to 7 inches and ignore that it could be 8 or 9 inches, that suggests that the track is anywhere from 6 to 8.2 inches across the pad. Okay. So when I looked at that to me eliminates a black bear, because the black bear's upper end track width is only 5.5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to be bigger than a black bear. It's obviously not bigger than a brown bear, a grizzly, whatever. But I mean, in Pennsylvania, nobody's seen a grizzly here in 200 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's, so to me, that looks like a track. It looks like something was chasing or starting after something, and its claws ripped through, and its foot ripped through the leaf litter, and its non-retractable talons cut into that hard frozen soil, and then boom, and it was, trying its luck, let's say. But it wasn't on camera. So
Yeah.
I think that was about, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 feet to the left of the camera. There was a bunch of impressions there and stuff, so, but that's what happened. So, I mean, whatever it was that growled at me, it's possible that it also made that track, and it was trying to, nail a deer. So, but I didn't see it, so I don't know what it was. It just sounded very big and very angry, and it was and it was issuing a threat.
Mhm.
So, it's like, this is my forest.
Yeah. Well,
keep your-
after you peed on its
Yeah.
territory.
Well, and I kept going back and doing it. That was the thing. But the messed up part is that this track, when I took that photo, I had just come down with COVID. And I mean, I was not feeling good, and I took the camera trap out the next day or a day or two later, something like that. And I was sick for 3 or 4 weeks. And that footage has been, sitting since then. So when
Right.
you and I spoke and I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, I forgot all about this, and then I looked close. And then when you and I were talking, DA, that's when I was like, do those look like claw marks to you?
Mhm.
And that's when I started thinking, that kind of thing. So anyway, it's not as exciting as watching a Bigfoot snort crayfish while doing bicep curls, like, check this out, buddy. You wish you had guns like these.
High in protein.
There.
It's like a Bigfoot protein shake.
But anyways,
Darkwoods wanted to know: did the growl rumble in your chest?
it was like you felt it everywhere. But I mean, the fact that I felt it through the asphalt under my feet was what kind of scared me, because that sounded like, it was obviously close enough that it was traveling through it, etc. And it was very intimidating,
Right.
honestly. I mean, like, I'm not going to lie and say I was not alarmed. Okay. I don't know if the word scared came to mind yet. Okay. But I was concerned. Okay.
Yeah,
Especially with the weapon in my hand.
yeah.
I got a
Go
few
back
of those
in and
moments
change
where I
your
was
shorts.
like, yeah, this isn't the best place for me to be right
Well,
now.
Yeah,
Well,
the only
tell
reason
them.
I think Dogman is because, like I told you before, like Doylestown is like whatever 4 or 5 miles from me,
Mhm.
and there have been sightings of these creatures with eyewitnesses, and I gave you the links.
Yeah.
I mean, one time, like whole families are in a car coming home from like high school, and this thing leaps across the road in front of them, huge bounds, and then jumps into 20 feet into the trees. I mean, people are not physically able to do that.
Right.
Right.
And I mean,
There
the
wasn't a
last,
guy in a costume.
yeah, I mean, the last sighting I think was 3 months ago.
Hmm.
And then there was another one in 2020, another one in 2019, one in 2016. People keep seeing these creatures. So, and then it got weird around here. I don't know if people knew I was like, trying to get this thing on film and stuff. But then the entrance to the woods, they like I've been here 9 years, and kids go in these woods on
Right.
mountain bikes, and families going in ATVs. I've seen people going there to hike and stuff, and nobody's ever said anything. But then, like a few weeks after this happened, do you pack when you take the cap? Well, I did for the next few months. Since then, it's been quiet. I've probably, been less cautious. I
Yeah.
probably should, but I think this thing. But so somebody put up a no entry sign, like "Do not enter"
Right.
on the woods and the tree right there, wherever you're going. And this giant blood red ribbon was tied there also. I
Huh.
have a photo of it, and I'm like, well, that's weird. That's never happened before.
Is it by
Like
the state? Did the state put that up, or somebody just
no,
out of the blue?
I found out the land it belongs to a farm, owns the land there as well. Like a
Okay.
local farm. So they must have put up a sign saying, private property, no trespassing, or whatever it was.
Right.
And this big ass blood red ribbon to like make sure people saw it. See?
Right.
But the local kids, they didn't care. They just kept going and stuff like
Right.
that. And then like maybe a month later, they took the sign and the ribbon down. But
Huh.
I just found it odd that happened, shortly after my whatever you want to call it, and I don't call it an encounter, but that message was sent.
Yeah.
I will
Well,
eat you if you piss in my woods again. And I kept going back and peeing on the tree.
I think it's interesting that the landowners would have put that up just out of the
Mhm.
blue like that.
Right.
Here in Missouri, and I know in quite a few other states, we have what they refer to as purple posts. They will
Mhm.
paint purple on the top of posts to
Mhm.
let you know that that's private property and you're likely to get shot if you're caught on it.
Right. I mean, ours here in Florida are that olive drab green, and they have white lettering on it. And it says the state of Florida on the bottom, or wildlife management. That's why I was asking you what kind of sign it was.
I got it right here. I'm going to, if I send this to you, will you be able to show it?
Sure, absolutely.
How would I send it best?
Just send it in Facebook Messenger is fine.
Okay, let's see. This is the exact sign.
All right, give me just a second to get that pulled up.
And let's see here. And it's actually about 3 months later, to be exact, April 5th, when I took the picture. And I don't know how long it was up there, but so about 3 months after the footage that I showed you.
Why is this not popping up? Oh, there it is. Okay, got it. Now I can blow that up a little bit. You can see the trail going back into the woods.
Yeah.
Maybe they got tired of like neighborhood kids going back there and leaving trash or something.
Before that happened, the kids weren't doing that. Now, since I went back there recently, the kids, like teenagers, have like destroyed that stuff back there. They've been like building like benches out of like logs and piling up rocks and stuff, and I think trying to like build little hills for their bikes and crap. you know?
Right.
So it's like it's all messed up back there since then. But it wasn't like that when that sign was up and stuff. They were just, go back there hiking and stuff like that. So if this thing was, it must have got so disgusted. Maybe it just moved on.
Maybe.
I mean, let's put it this way: if I just took a leak on a fallen log and I got it angry, what they're doing must really be upsetting.
Well, also, I've noticed that in areas where people have had sightings, when you get a bunch of people going out there messing around, and sometimes it does just with people going out there doing research, you start getting a lot of people in an area where someone saw one, that they'll change their territory. They'll move because they don't like having a lot of people around.
Yeah, one time when I got this weird guy walking by the camera. Some weird guy. I have no idea. He was just walking through the woods, no trail or nothing. Walked right past my camera, kept going. Creepy.
Yeah, you'll get a bunch of them.
Was he dressed like a homeless guy, or do you think it might have been one of the landowners?
I don't think so. I'll tell you exactly what he was dressed in because I save everything. I still have underwear from 12th grade. No, I'm just kidding. Bobcat.
Yours?
Oh, we had a bobcat take down a deer in the backyard one time. That was something. Let's see here. I think I called it Weirdo or something like that walking by. I hope you're in this file. No. Come on. Where are you? That's the dog rescued. Let's see here.
Well, if we can't find it, it's not a huge deal.
I'm so sorry. I'm having a tough time.
Oh, no problem.
Did you want to see that deer I told you was hauling ass?
Sure.
Let's see if I can find that one. I know I saw that in here before.
Some folks in the chat are saying they're having trouble seeing the images.
Yeah,
so if we can get it to play.
she just texted me. Mrs. Finn just texted me and says, "Ask DA why we can't see the videos or pictures."
I don't know. It's got to be something with Restream.
Yeah.
I've done everything I could on my end. Let's see here.
It's
just
not you.
very odd. Don't you find it strange that I would have sent you the whole video and both of them, they got cut before you see the deer run?
Yeah, that is weird.
I mean, all
Since
right. So
Doc ain't here, I'll say it. Damn satellites.
should I do another screen share real quick for this thing?
Yeah, we'll try it one more time and see if anybody can see it. If not, I guess we'll have to stop showing videos until I get this figured out.
Okay,
I'll shoot off an email to Restream and ask them what the heck's going on because this is supposed to work.
Okay, so it says you're sharing your entire screen.
Yeah, we could see it, but they can't. I don't get that.
Well, if that's the case, then that sucks. But all right, here you go. She comes from the right.
Yeah, I
her?
see it. Yeah.
And then
she's moving.
Yeah,
She's
it's
hauling ass.
playing, it's playing, and there's nothing chasing her. See? Right there, then it freezes at that point. But there's, if there was a buck, an amorous buck on her tail, pun intended, you would think he'd be right there. But I'll play one more time.
Let me put it back up there then.
Back it up?
No, I've taken it off screen.
Oh.
Hopefully everybody can see.
John Doe says we see it. He sees it.
Oh,
John
good.
Doe sees it. Anybody else see it in chat? Let me know, please.
Yeah, when she first runs, you see the rear end on the far right of another deer just disappearing on the right side of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Finn sees it.
Right there. Boom. And then she takes off like, pew, and she's moving.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't see the other ones with the deer running in the dark when they suddenly turn and take off?
I guess those didn't come through.
Yeah, certain
It's
people
probably something
can't
with
see it.
Restream.
Certain people can't see it, and certain people can see it in chat. I don't get
Weird.
that.
So
Maybe it's the difference between which platform you're watching on.
I don't
Who
know.
knows?
All right, so I'm going to stop the share and get back to this thing. But
Yeah, Lene can't see it. She can't see it. Ashley can't see it.
Kirst
That's all
says
right.
we thought, but not now. It's lagging.
Yeah,
well,
it's,
I just stopped the screen share.
Yeah,
So that's probably why.
it's Restream. It ain't you. It ain't you, Max.
yeah. It's more than likely Restream.
Play one more time. Okay.
Mark
Let me-
Maker says show it full screen. I said, okay.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to do the buck that was scared thing one more time, okay? And then so that everybody can see that. And then I'll do the doe running. All right, so let's see here. Share screen. Select
I've got YouTube pulled up on my end,
entire screen.
and I will
Allow.
be watching.
Okay, so everybody can see everything. Now I'm going here. All right, here's the buck. I'm going to start from
Yeah.
the beginning. There he goes. He stops. He lowers. He looks. Looks up. Wait. Boom.
Ooh.
So whatever was coming was coming from the back towards us.
Yeah.
It never popped up on YouTube.
YouTube? Yeah, that's
Never
what
popped
it
up
is.
on YouTube.
It's the
Okay,
platform.
So can anybody see that right now?
I can
I
see
see
it on my main
yeah,
screen,
I
but it
see
is
it.
not popping up on YouTube.
Mm.
I brought the YouTube for whatever reason. It is not appearing on YouTube.
It's not you, Max. It's the platform for Restream. Certainly, it'll show up on Facebook fine, and certain parts of YouTube it won't show up. Like certain people are seeing it on YouTube, and then others can't.
Mm. All right. Well, I'm sorry. That's best I
It's
can.
all right. It's nothing.
Oh well. I apologize, folks. I will shoot an email to Restream and find out what the heck is going on. So hopefully we can get that straightened out, and if it becomes an issue, we may be moving back to StreamYard.
Maybe they just don't want you to see the good stuff where the deer take off like
That's
that.
what it is.
It is an odd coincidence, don't you think?
Very.
I mean, both of them got cut at the critical point. That's
Right.
Right.
Oh well. I don't have my tinfoil hat right now, so
I keep a
Yeah.
tinfoil hat lining in my Kolchak hat.
there you go.
There's probably a Bigfoot, hacker out there.
That shows you must be getting popular, DA, if people are trying to interfere with your broadcast and your show.
We already had that. We already had a guy try to do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
As an author, I've been besieged with that since 2014.
Yeah,
I'm starting to get into that myself.
Mhm. I mean, like I have a book out, like Cronus Rising Purgatory, that like 9 out of 10 people like in terms of reviews.
right.
Like 92%. Like it's like almost all 5 stars and a few 4 stars. And then on some dinosaur group, you got some. Can I say twat waffle on the air?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Let it
Okay,
out.
great. So
Yeah.
I had some twat waffle trying to like talk shit to me in his group, and he got his ass handed to him.
Mhm.
So coincidentally that night, this would you can't tell who they are because they use initials only for their name on Amazon. I get
Right.
this bogus 1-star review, which is so how could you say this? So ridiculously inaccurate that the person obviously didn't read the book, or if they did read the book, they just wanted to write whatever they try and the most insulting crap that they can come up with,
Right.
to attack you. And that's how people that's how they retaliate. You have these armchair, these keyboard warriors and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they can't if they can't get their way, oh, he made me look stupid on Facebook. I'm gonna get him.
I've had
You
a few reviews
They
like that
made
on my books.
themselves look stupid.
Yeah.
I
But,
had one review, one star review from a guy in one of the Ragnarok books.
Mhm.
The whole review was just shot after shot at me. Said nothing about the book. It was like, this guy's an idiot. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but see, an ad hominem attacks like that, you should be able to get that removed.
I did. I reported it as a
I was going to say, yeah, because when they stoop to that level, that's against the rules. That's
Well,
against
it's
policy.
not even that. When you get people making comments that his books are not real, DA's books, well, of course they're not real.
They're fiction. I've
Right.
never once said they were anything but fiction.
Right. A guy came on and oh, those are not real. There's no special forces group hunting.
Where is it?
It's like, give me a break.
Yeah.
I see that, what you posted.
I love using like insults like that in my books when somebody calls somebody something hilarious like that. Sometimes I try and come up with them myself, and every time I think I've come up with some unique insult, I look at it, I find it in the Urban Dictionary anyway. It's already been done, There's no new insults out there. It's so
For my new sci-fi book, the one I just released, Man's Marauders, I tried to get creative with the cursing because it's set, 500 years in the future. Why wouldn't they have different terms? So I made up a couple, and made up a couple of just phrases that get thrown out. And the weird thing is, I found that after writing them and spending so much time on that book, they've cropped up in my own conversation. Like I stubbed my toe in the living room the other day, and I turned around and went, "Motor biscuit," and my wife's like, "What?" I'm like, "Hey, never mind."
I had somebody call somebody in Cronus Rising Kraken 3 I'm not going to use the word because it's offensive. We'll use the word sea biscuit. With the letter C,
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah, like that. She called somebody that. It was pretty funny. But anyway.
Hey, you got to get creative once in a while.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
Only absolutely. Yeah.
So Max, what got you into aquatic cryptids in the first place?
Well, my dad was a lighthouse keeper, and my mother was the Queen of Atlantis.
I was just about to stop you and ask, was your mother the Queen of Atlantis?
They were never meant to meet.
Yeah.
Fall in love. But anyway.
In the ocean.
Exactly.
And
I
mother was
like
actual
your dinner
Aquaman.
fork. Yeah. I like your big dinner fork.
The
Did your mother happen to like goldfish?
Yeah.
In a different way than most normal people would.
My dad was a rock hound. He collected fossils. He had a jewelry store. He dealt with minerals, fossils, etc. stuff.
Mhm.
So I grew up surrounded by woolly mammoth bones and giant shark teeth and you name it, trilobites and whatnot.
Right.
And so I had a lot of that, and I had the prehistoric scenes model kits from Aurora, the real ones. When I was 5, 6, 10 years old and stuff. And as I got older, so I was very much into, and then of course there was like the D&D and all this other stuff. I got into fishing, and then I guess when it came from as a novelist, it was just combining two passions: prehistoric life and the ocean. I remember the first time I ever fought a big shark. It was like so exhilarating. One of my legs was shaking. I couldn't stop it. It was like doing an Irish jig and stuff. More adrenaline, because you realize you're holding on to something on the other end of this big rod that could kill you, and it's stronger than you are. You're trying to like wear it down and stuff. It's just very exciting, everything. So anyway, so that's what happened, more or less.
Hey, you got to go. You got to go where the passion takes you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because one thing I've discovered about writing is if you're writing something you personally don't enjoy, it is not going to come out the way you wanted it. People will tell. They can tell things you were enjoying writing versus things you were writing going 2.5 cents a word. 2.5 cents a word.
Yeah, if you're going through the motions, it shows.
Yeah.
Like an old editor of mine used to tell me that. He goes, it's funny. He goes, I can tell when you're on, he goes, and when you're going through the motions. Like certain scenes were I was more into them than others and stuff. But now, everything just kind of flows,
I'm kind of at that point in my career too, where I just let my imagination run wild. But have you ever written a scene that was just so draining you had to walk away from the keyboard?
I've never had to walk away from the keyboard, but I have written scenes where I burst out laughing because they were that funny. And I have written tragic, sad scenes that actually got me a little misty, shall we say, as I was writing them. And that's when you know you're on point and where it's gonna be a hit. Because if you as the writer are feeling that type of emotion, then you know the reader is gonna be that much more swept away with it.
Right.
I've written a couple of death scenes for characters where one in particular, I walked away from the computer for 3 days. I couldn't go back to it.
Really?
It was emotionally draining for me. And my wife's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just wrote a very poignant death scene, and I need a minute." I mean, this was a character I'd invested a lot in.
Yeah,
And
you got emotionally attached. See?
yeah,
Yeah, I had to do that once, and I'm still hearing shit from people about it.
I catch a lot of shit from some of the
Yeah.
characters I've killed off.
Yeah, there's a lot of angry women out there when Gorm Braddock died. I mean, some guys too. One guy, he was like, he goes, I took the book, cursed and flung it across the room. He goes, and I was so mad at you. He goes, and I couldn't pick it up for 3 months. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah. And then another guy goes, yeah. He goes, it's true. He goes, I wouldn't even talk to him. He goes, I had tears in my eyes. And I'm like, well, I got grown men saying they were crying reading my book, so I'm doing okay. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, when you get people, well, I had a guy drove like 600 miles to come to a convention to argue with me about
At least it wasn't, some woman named Annie Wilkes that wanted to tie you to a
Oh,
bed
yeah.
or something like that, you know.
You're going to
Can you
rewrite this scene. Whack.
Oof, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I think it's every writer's nightmare. So with the death of Clive Cussler, you're kind of the heir apparent to the aquatic series.
Hmm?
I think so,
I am.
man. I think you are. I think you're the heir apparent to the Clive Cussler universe.
Wow, I never thought of that.
There's not a lot of other authors out there doing aquatic stuff.
Right.
And now that Cussler's gone, I think you're the man.
Wow. I read a bunch of like his and somebody else's. Who else does submarine books? Who wrote
Clancy
the
did. Clancy did for Red October.
Red October.
Yeah, I read a bunch of their books when I was prepping to write the Cronus Rising Kraken books because I needed to get an idea of how to write submarine lingo and everything else like that. You always got to do your research. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I got on the phone one night with a buddy of mine that used to be a tank crewman when I was writing the my sci-fi project that just came out, Man's Marauders. It's about a tank crew, and I'm like, all right, walk me through a targeting sequence. He's like, what the hell are you writing? So I explained it to him. He's like, okay, I like this. Let's get on board. He walked me through the entire process from target acquisition to target destruction of a tank crew. And I ran with that. I played on it a little bit. I moved it around a little bit, and I added some dialogue here and there, but for dramatic effect. But more or less, that is exactly how an Abrams crew runs a targeting mission.
Sweet.
My dad was a tank commander in World War II.
Yeah, I got those loaded up, DA. So
Thanks,
you
man.
guys get ready.
So Max, what do you think the chances of the Meg still existing?
None, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, well, the reason I say this is that I think there's we're getting some sort of very large macropredatory shark out there.
Right.
I don't think it's a megalodon. Discovery Channel, despite the fact that they've taken some lumps of some of their specials and stuff, does talk to top marine biologists, and I've had Zoom calls with some of them about stuff, and they know their stuff. They do their research, but and they did a special like a super predator follow-up a couple years back.
Mm-hmm.
You might saw that they were talking about a 35-foot white shark living in the kill zone.
Yes.
Yeah, Robbie remembers
All
that.
the killer whales and all
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
And they had
took that
the
submersible
pygmy blue
down.
whale that had the bite scar on its peduncle.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got
That's
the
when they took that sub down that was supposed to look blend in with everything. They took it down, like 15, 20 meters down into the kill zone to see if they could figure out what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one.
Yeah, that's not real. But but they said that a lot of marine biologists are theorizing that, and I mentioned this in Monsters Marine Mysteries at length actually, that they think that sometimes white sharks undergo gigantism and they don't stop growing.
Right.
And we know sharks can grow to huge sizes. Megalodon reached at least 50 feet in length.
Catfish, as long as they've got a food source, they'll keep growing.
The one that they recorded in off the coast of Mexico, what is it? Big Blue, they call her?
They call it Big Blue.
That's
Okay.
another that was faked from the Discovery special.
Okay.
Was it?
Megalodon mockumentary. Yeah, that's unfortunately that's an established thing.
How about this one? Hold on.
That is a basking shark.
Okay.
You can tell from the dorsal.
Well, that's a pretty big friggin' shark, as I would.
Oh,
actually
that's a
shit
big shark.
myself.
They grow to
Yeah.
40 feet. But
basking sharks are probably the third largest shark.
Right.
Megamouth, whale shark, and basking shark are the
How
three
big?
largest species.
How big was that big blue in the off of the
Deep blue is
the,
around. Some people say 22 feet, but it's
right?
around 20 feet. 18 to 20 feet is what the conservative.
She's
Yeah.
a female, right?
Some
That was a
people,
female.
some people have said 22 feet, but there's actually another one in off Hawaii. I can't remember what they've named it, but it's about that size too. It's a big female.
That's a big great white. I'm sorry, that's huge. I mean,
well, white sharks definitely reach larger sizes than people think.
right.
I have a guy who gets his hands on whale carcasses when they beach, and we've done bite measurements and stuff. And I've got photos of it. It's been in the book. He had two matching white shark bites on this big 52-foot humpback carcass. These are fresh bites, and they were both 27 inches wide. And the smaller one, meaning the shark didn't go full gape, was 31 inches tall. The larger one was 37 inches high.
Hmm.
So but they were both the same width. So it was the same animal.
Right.
And I went and investigated this using there's formulas out there where you can use bite diameter, bite width to crunch the numbers and figure out the size of the shark. And there's three different formulas that are available. I went with the most conservative one because you want to be, err on the side of caution, etc. And that shark was in excess of 26 feet in length. Now that's a fact. Okay, that shark was real, and that was just a couple years ago.
That's a big great white.
A 26-foot shark would weigh what, in the ballpark of a couple of tons?
4 tons at least.
Yeah, that's a big great white.
That is a big fish.
Maybe more. 26 feet.
We're definitely going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah. I mean, I might actually be in the 6-ton range, honestly, at that size.
That's a big animal.
Yeah,
so
that,
what happens?
That was one of the criticisms of Jaws. Because Jaws was supposed to be like 25 feet, and
Right.
Quint's quote about 2 or 3 tons of whichever one it was. It's like, no, if that shark was that big, it'd been way heavier than
That
than
is,
this.
how much force would one of those hit with if it was attacking something while moving?
Well, I mean, the bigger they get, the slower they get, but still, I
Right.
mean, the
But
power.
still, even at slow speeds, that much mass and motion.
Yeah, there was another one I did an investigation on where an 11-foot white shark named Sea Batch was photographed. This was just recently, a couple years ago, and she had a gigantic bite scar on her that went from her gills to past her dorsal. And it was enormous. It looked like it was about 30 inches across, and based on her length and stuff like that. And that bite suggests a 28-foot attacker.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's a bite is real.
Now, mistake me if I'm wrong.
About that DA though, about how hard they can hit. Colossus, I think, which was a shark in the Fallon Islands that Chris Fallows videoed breaching during Shark Week a couple of years ago.
Right.
It's a 17-ish foot shark that did a complete Polaris breach. You think about how much force it takes to get a shark that big completely out of the water.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when they get bite marks on their back or their sides, and it's a female, isn't that a form of mating, Max, for males?
A lot of the bites you see on the sharks, I mean, sometimes white sharks are size oriented when it comes to dominance.
Right.
So when they pass each other, the larger shark will assume dominance. The smaller one will give way. If he or she does not, then they may get bitten. They may get badly bitten. Okay, that happens. But during mating, the female is typically a little larger than the male. It's a lot larger, but the male will grab her like here, and try and grapple her down to the seabed to mate. And when
Okay.
they do that, they have very sharp teeth, and even though their skin is very tough, the wound's going to be quite horrendous. But there was one of the sharks, named Matilda, that was photographed by, oh my God, Rodney Fox's
Fox.
son did it. And Matilda was like an 18-foot shark, and she had a bite mark on the side of her face that went from here to here, and it was way bigger than her bite gape, and she's a female. So that to me suggested that she got hit straight on like this. Like, in other words, she was going this way, she got hit like that. This isn't like a mating thing. This is more like, get out of my way. I'm bigger than you. You think you're big, you're not. And something much larger than her ripped her face open.
Mhm.
There's a lot of these things. I got to talk to the guy that they used for discovery for that kill zone one, and he had photographed that 69-foot blue whale with the
Right.
bite chunk out of it, and then I did numbers crunching on that. He sent me the whole HD photos. They were incredible. I mean, incredible. But that shark was somewhere between 26 and 30 feet.
And it's like the one Robbie said, that 17-footer, that force coming out of the water, it breached the water. I mean, how high did it come out of the water, Robbie?
I believe that one they said was like 6.5, 7 feet from.
That's a lot of force.
It is that size. A 26, I think they estimate. They did a 26-foot shark would move about 12 miles an hour is the maximum speed breaching to get out of the water.
Really?
Yeah. They don't move
Huh.
as fast as you think. They're faster when they're smaller. The
Right.
fastest white shark is probably about 10 feet long. And then they can
Right.
probably hit 30 miles an
The
hour.
part about that though,
on the
Anthony,
charge.
is yes, they only move 12 miles an hour, but that's 2 tons moving at 12 miles an hour.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like the difference between
Would you want a 2-ton car hitting you at 12 miles an hour? No.
I feel
No.
like the difference between getting at 20 miles an hour, getting hit by a smart car, and getting hit by a school bus.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
a school
I mean,
bus.
that's
Even a school bus at 12 miles an hour will still hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
That would
school
mess your
bus
day
with
up.
teeth.
Yeah.
Yes. But so back to the Megalodon thing. So what when you were asking about that though, the largest shark bite that I've investigated so far was 48 inches across. And this
That's
is photographed
big.
by Simon Pierce, the marine biologist, underwater. He filmed a 40-foot whale shark that has a gigantic bite chunk taken out of her flank, her left caudal region there. If you can go on Facebook to my Monsters and Marine Mysteries group,
Mhm.
and pull up the page, like the background image, one of Simon's photos of this huge whale shark with that bite is on a diver for comparison swimming with it. Okay, so I investigated that. That was the biggest shark bite in Monsters and Marine Mysteries, and those numbers that suggested an animal maybe 42 feet long. The
A
attacker.
great white?
Well, I mean, if great whites can reach 20 or 25 feet, and
Why
if one's
couldn't they,
from gigantism, I mean, I
Mhm.
discussed in the book, like the American toad normally maxes out at 4 inches, but they found 8-inch ones suffering from there, bottom left. You see that bite on the
Yeah.
bottom there, and it still
Yeah.
has 2 grooves on it. Okay,
Damn.
so that bite, in my opinion, is only a year and a half old at most, probably
Mhm.
a year. Okay, it's not something where it magically grew with the shark since it was 3
Right.
feet long or something like that. Like people will dismiss it and say that. I mean, that's like people don't know how whale sharks are like the Wolverines of the animal kingdom when it comes to regeneration, not aggression or like that, but healing. Them
Right.
and manta rays. It's astonishing how well they can regenerate from wounds and how fast. I mean, like they fill in. Everything fills in, closes up,
Yeah, I was
etc.
watching a special on it, how they were trying to adapt that to humans in science, and for people with limbs missing and big gashes and scars. And I was watching a special on that, how interesting that was.
So I mean, just think, if a regular great white can reach 20 or 22 feet, and then it suffers from gigantism and it just keeps growing,
40,
then it-
50 feet.
top out at 40 feet or more in length.
Yeah.
So now we got recently a whale carcass that has a bite out of it the same size as that on that whale shark. So I'm right now working on a documentary for that, where we got a full investigation on that, measured the teeth marks around the bite, etc. So it's going to be very interesting coming out. And then the bite shape is similar to the bite on that whale shark. It's almost like it was the same animal.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What would you that one, I know they did the documentary on Discovery when they tagged one of those white sharks, and they found out that thing, something grabbed it and brought it down.
The super predator.
Right.
That's
Now,
what he's
what
talking
did you
about,
think
the
that?
kill zone.
Right. What do you think that is? You think that's a great white that's bigger than a normal sized great white, or something else?
See, I had a whole conversation with the Discovery guys about this, and we were talking about the whole super predator thing, because I had put out a theory shortly after those two specials aired. Now, keep in mind, I'm limited by the data that's available,
Right.
meaning like I can only use what I can get my hands on, what they put out there, etc. Okay, so the whole idea of it being a larger shark didn't sit with me for every possible reason. The first reason was that, let's just say, first off, you can't say like Alpha was 10 feet long, the one that was killed.
Right.
Okay, so she's like at her most nimble, greased lightning. Honestly, I mean, she would be fast, maneuverable, like a mako.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, makos are the speed demons of the animal kingdom
Oh yeah.
in the water. Okay, I've caught them. Believe me, it's like a missile with teeth. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So,
we got them here in Florida. They're all over the by Tampa area. I know exactly what you're saying.
so now as they get bigger and bulkier, they tend to slow down, etc. A 16-foot great white, in my humble opinion, could never catch a 10-footer. It would be like DA trying to catch Usain Bolt.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he'd be like, come on, I'll wait for you. No, I'm gonna,
Right.
like, that kind of stuff.
Like that commercial. Oh, you almost had it. Oh.
Exactly.
Come on,
Okay,
Spike. Hey, Spike. Come on, Spike. Yeah.
So that was the first thing that struck me as odd. Then the thing was, of course, a 16-foot great white could never eat a 10-foot shark.
No.
Yes, you could take chunks out of it and stuff like that. And people could say, oh, it swallowed the tag on its dorsal and stuff like that. Show me the catching part. But so then the next thing was that the body temperature didn't match. Alpha, when she was consumed, her tag was at the temperature of the surrounding water, which I think, this is a long time ago, I think it was around 40 degrees. And then all of a sudden it jumped to like 78 or something like that.
Right.
Okay. It was a really big jump, and it stayed there for the next 8 days. Okay. So a white shark is only able to do a maximum temperature differential of 25 degrees above the surrounding water. Maximum. Okay. This was outside that range, and it stayed there consistently for 8 days. That didn't match. Then there was the behavior of the tag. The tag for the next 8 days went from the surface to around 300 feet after she was killed, after the shark was killed.
Oh,
Alpha was
really?
her attacker, from the surface to 300 feet, which exactly matches like the movements of an orca, let's say.
I was going to ask you. That's what I was going to say.
And they said it matched the movements of an air-breathing predator. Okay, something that has, up and down. Okay, but of course we know it's not an orca because an orca's body temperature is like 98 degrees, the same as ours. Okay, so that was out. Okay, and orca could not dive and catch her. This is another thing that people didn't realize, is that if they looked at Discovery's printouts showing the movements of the tag prior to her being killed, there were several instances a few days prior to that where she dove similar depths of like 1,500 or 2,000 feet real fast and then came back up. Same thing. Now, white sharks tend to feed near the surface. There's not a lot of food 2,000 feet down. So why was she doing that? And now you got to think, well, maybe it's like the white sharks in the Farallon Islands, where when one of their number gets killed by orcas, they immediately dive to 1,500 feet and they all swim to Hawaii. So they know there's an air-breathing predator out there that's going to a threat to them, so they do the safe route. Orcas can't function that deep, so the shark dove down to escape, etc. The third or fourth time she got caught by whatever was chasing her, it was fast enough and it nailed her. Okay, so then there's the speed. Okay, so you need something that's big, that's an air breather, that has that weird temperature, okay, and that can go that deep and function that deep, etc. And then last but not least is the digestive system. They said that the tracker was inside the predator for 8 days before it was excreted. That's proven. Okay, so a white shark's digestive system takes about 24 hours, 48 to get rid of everything in its stomach. So how is it that something's lasting 8 days in there? That implies something with a very low digestive system, very slow. I'm sorry. Okay, so all this put together to me sounded like, crazily enough, like a leatherback sea turtle. And I know that sounds laughable, okay, but the speed, leatherbacks swim at 22 miles an hour. A larger one might be faster. They have a
Mhm.
digestive system that is 5 times longer than other sea turtles, or is it 6 times longer? I forget. But it's a very long digestive system. On top of that, they're air breathers. In addition to that, and their body temperature differential allows them to do the exact same temperature difference that the super predator showed. They
Right.
tested them in cold water, and they're able to maintain the same exactly the same differential as the super predator. So all this together sounded like a leatherback eating a white shark, which makes no sense. It's the other way around, honestly, or the turtle, would chase off the shark if it was being aggressive and defend itself, whatever. So how is that possible? And then the crazy part happened when I was investigating. Oh my God, the Gary LaMotta sea monster sighting from like 1969 or whatever it was.
Right.
I'm sorry, DA. I'm taking too long. I could tell.
No problem. You're fine. No,
You-
I'm having problems with my computer.
Oh, I thought I was like, losing people. Like, but so Gary LaMotta filmed a 38-foot turtle.
Oh
Okay?
yeah, I heard about
Yeah,
that.
Lake Huber Island, and I took stills that his widow gave me permission to use, and I enhanced them, and it was 100% a turtle. I mean, you could see it. You
Right.
could see the bags under its eyes, its beak, the recessed chin, the folds of skin, all this stuff. It's all in Monsters and Marine Mysteries. So he spotted a turtle 30 feet long. I also interviewed on video his friend that was with him in the other boat, and they both saw it. I got all the details, everything. He said, we knew it was 38 feet long because it was the same size as my boat, and my boat was 38 feet. It was like this huge pale colored thing. So apparently some sort of like gigantic shellless turtle built more like a giant sea lion, but a turtle, okay, is what they encountered there, moving around, chasing fish, frolicking, and stuff like that. So if you have a 38-foot turtle where the head and neck alone is 8 feet long, and if it's a piscivore, meaning a fish eater, then you have something that is big enough to catch and kill a 10-foot great white. In fact, that would be its ideal meal size, and most likely. So the
Right.
temperature would match, the speed. They said when this thing took off the turtle, it was capable of, quote, tremendous speed. It was like that. Size, diving ability, everything would match, the digestive system, etc. So that was, based on the available data, to me, that was the only logical choice for the super predator, was a mega turtle that eats fish, very
Right.
large fish.
And somebody made the comment on the show, I know in Discovery, they thought it was a giant octopus, like we've been finding.
Mhm.
It was one of them. It was a type of what's the right word? Not octopus, but
Cephalopod, a squid.
yeah, like they've
But how?
been catching.
But how would see all that stuff?
Oh,
Like,
I don't know.
yeah.
You're into the. I don't know anything about this. So
Yeah,
I never had any idea a turtle could get that big.
me either.
Oh yeah. Well, apparently so. You should see Gary's footage. I mean, it's once you know what you're looking at, even though it's old Super 8 footage, it's very compelling. You can see the head look, it turns, it looks at him, which is very disconcerting because he would be meal size. I'm
How
sorry,
big was this? How big was this turtle?
38 feet.
That's a big friggin' soft shell. That's a big sea
Yes.
turtle.
Yes.
Tyrannosaurus turtle.
So, but so I mean, I had to look at the squid option, and a squid has a body temperature the same as the water.
Okay.
So that was out. And not only that, but when a squid eats you, let's say and believe me, there's some monster squids out there, it's going to take your nose out of you with a beak. Okay.
Right.
And once that beak tears out a beakful, okay, then it's got a tongue that's like a file. And that file shreds that flesh to like jelly. So
Right.
that transmitter would have been annihilated.
Right.
See? So, I mean, so a squid or an octopus, neither of those would work. Not to mention how this thing would be going to and from the surface for the next 8 days.
Right. Well, I was just asking because that's what they were saying in the documentary. Somebody mentioned it, and I was like, when it comes to all this,
Dorsal fin.
the dorsal fin. Okay.
Yeah, it's usually they tag them through the dorsal.
Right.
But in fact, if you look at the whale shark, I'm not sure if that whale shark is tagged, the one with Simon and stuff.
Mhm.
It may have a tag to its dorsal. I'm not sure.
I'll bring that image back up.
So that was
Yeah,
a big
see
sea
the tag?
turtle, probably. Yeah.
Right above the M, you see the tag.
Yeah, that
Yep.
it is tagged.
Yeah. That guy's amazing. He swims with. They had one that was like 50 feet long almost, and he swims with pregnant whale sharks and gives them like sonograms.
Nice.
Can you imagine that?
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Wow.
So
That's
I mean,
that's insanely crazy. I would never do
Yeah.
that.
Sorry.
oh, I would have thought when they saw the bite mark on that shark, the whale shark, I would have been looking around like,
Oh yeah. Where the
Like-
hell is this
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
What did
yeah,
it?
that's
And
very.
is it still in the area?
Yeah, I was in the woods once and I found bear claw marks on a tree, like 7 feet up.
Right.
Must have been a black bear. This was in like Fairmount Park or something like that. And
Right.
I was a little nervous. I was like, okay, I don't know about this.
Well, the best is when everybody, when we went on a cruise and everybody's like, "Oh, we're gonna go here." When I got married, we went on a cruise and we went through Mexico.
Mhm.
And oh, let's go swimming with the sharks. I'm like, what are you, insane? I'm like, no, that's not something I want to do on my honeymoon. Go swimming with sharks. I mean, oh, you're going to be in a cage. I don't care. It's like my luck. What happened to Anthony? Well, we were on a honeymoon. He got eaten by a shark, and now I'm single again. But I don't. Yeah, not my cup of tea to go swimming with sharks on a honeymoon. Sorry, ain't happening.
Well, I do believe we have like some sort of mega shark out there. There is something going on. I think it's probably based on the sharpness of the two grooves I've seen,
Right.
and films and footage and everything else again. I think it's more likely just a white shark of prehistoric proportions.
Right.
I mean, it's either that or Chubutensis, which is the ancestor of Megalodon, but has been extinct for more than it has, is
Okay.
somehow still around. And because its teeth were sharper than the Megalodon's teeth. But I think we're looking at most likely either an undiscovered species or white sharks that sometimes just hit ridiculous sizes because it's like,
Mhm.
like when you breed a lion with a tiger and you get a liger, those
Yeah.
genes pop up,
Oh yeah.
I mean, as a kid, I used to catch these little beetles that were like an inch long that had little like nasty jaws and stuff. I used to call them pinching bugs back then because I didn't know what they were. And that's as big as they get, about 30 millimeters max. And one day I found one under a rock or a log, and it was like this big. I mean, like 2.5 times their maximum size. It was like a mutant. And if I still had it as a specimen to this day, it would have been a scientific oddity because it was once again gigantism. And since a shark is physically capable of reaching that size and still functioning, it may be a little slower, but still it's capable of eating a whale carcass or something.
Well,
I mean, let's be realistic. Whatever attacked that whale shark could not have been a speed demon because after it hit it, the whale shark escaped.
Well, I mean, look at all the accounts of the sailors back in the 1700s, 1800s that were talking about giant squids.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden now, the Japanese are catching them off the coast, and they caught that one. I don't know what that one measure out to be, 38 feet, something like that. I mean, so, even the coelacanth was supposed to be extinct for what? Millions of years.
Mhm.
Since the Cretaceous.
Right.
But they have evolved since then. So
Right.
But apparently,
I mean-
people off Madagascar have a recipe for them.
Yeah, I mean, like, more about this. I'm not into the aquatic stuff, Max, so that's why I was asking about when they made the comment about, the giant squid grabbing it, and, but a sea turtle that big, I would love to see it.
It seems to exist because there's been historical sightings going back to the 1700s. I documented. I had I put dozens of them in the book. I could have kept going, but you can't write a whole book about turtles.
I find the thought of a giant turtle more terrifying than a giant shark.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Well, it's like something out of Godzilla. What is that one out of Godzilla that fought him?
Gamera.
I mean, what is
Gamera.
Yeah.
Gamera the Invincible.
Yeah. I mean, come on. That's you're talking a 40-foot friggin' turtle or 30-foot. I mean, that's big for a sea turtle. That's not small. I mean, and they're tough. They're not, that's like a submarine coming at you. I mean, that's a big turtle, man.
38 feet, then it's got to be almost comparable to that across.
Oh,
No, it was actually a slim animal. They
Really?
said like its body was only like 6 feet across,
really?
something like that. Yeah, not the flippers. Yeah, they said it. Well, that's what he was rough estimating in the water. But it had the head and neck was 8 feet. I know that, and that's the part you could see in the film sticking out of the water and all that. But he said it might have been 8 feet across. I'm not sure. But they said it had no shell. It was like sort of
Oh,
like a leatherback, but slender, like
okay.
more like it's kind of hard to explain.
No, I get you.
Like slim, fast, And if it was a predator, I guess you'd have to be to chase down. I mean, at that size, you're eating tuna, which are not exactly slow, and people get smoked fishing for those things if and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
so this thing, I mean, I didn't believe it until like I said, when I enhanced the frames and I saw I was looking at this giant bug-eyed turtle, then I realized that he was telling the truth. And then after I interviewed his partner or his friend who was there, that just reinforces it. So if you put it all together, it seems likely. But I'm not, I don't want to take away from the Megalodon. I've done a lot of Megalodon research.
Mhm.
I sent you some of the interviews I did on it, the
Mhm.
press releases and stuff like that. I investigated stuff showing like the shark was actually bigger than some scientists have thought. It probably
And-
topped out at
And
around.
the article you sent about it possibly being warm water as opposed to being a cold water shark.
Yeah, there was some people talking about like they had some limited fossils, some scientists, and they were basing that on these fossils, saying that they figured that the nurseries were like historically, almost every paleontologist that I've read has figured that certain places like around Florida and stuff like that, these were nurseries for these sharks. The big mother sharks would come in, give birth to their pups, okay, and then they would go back out to sea. And the pups, you got to remember, when you're a 6 or 8 foot pup,
Mhm.
it might sound like a big shark, but the oceans back then, white sharks were bigger than they are today. 25 feet was probably a standard adult. Chubutensis reached 40 feet, would have eaten a megalodon pup also. And then you had larger megalodons, and then you had other like 20-foot hemipristis sharks that we know went into nurseries and ate baby megalodons where they were trying to, survive there. But I mean, it makes sense for that to happen when you have such a predator-rich environment out there and you're a baby. So
Mhm.
like Goliath groupers, I use as an example down in Florida. I fish for them a lot.
Right.
And babies, they live in the mangroves where they're safe. They're like this big, this big, this big. And they stay there until they start getting like 4 feet long, 5
Oh,
feet
yeah.
long. They start working their way out to the reefs to set up shop. But prior to that, they live in the mangroves where they're sheltered from large predators. So baby megalodons undoubtedly did the same thing until they were big enough to fend for themselves, because you got a lot of competition out there. Oh, and that prehistoric mako shark, what was his name? Cosmopolitan hastalis. That was another monster fish out there, 25 feet long or something like that, and fast. Picture a 25-foot mako.
Yeah, we don't hear about. I've never heard about all this stuff that you're talking about. I heard of megalodon, but not of these other prehistoric sharks.
Yeah,
You
so
know.
I mean, I could start whipping out fossil teeth to show you, but so what happened with me is that I was like, I heard this whole, oh, the biggest sharks came from cold water and those weren't nurseries routine. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense, because you look at the fossils they had, they're not the fossils of the baby sharks. They're saying is that the smaller sharks in our studies were just subadults, so from the warm water stuff. But I mean, this is a baby megalodon tooth. Okay, you'd say that was a baby shark, wouldn't you? I mean,
Yeah.
mammal height and stuff like that. And I got smaller ones. Okay, but this one's interesting because you see, this was found in the exact same spot as this was found.
Jesus,
Now, this is the
Mary.
exact same tooth in the jaw. Mommy, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I ended up doing is that when you want to crunch number sizes for the sharks, formulas and trying to figure out how big they got. The problems in the past has always been that nobody had complete sets of jaws. So you couldn't take an individual tooth, let's say, especially a posterior tooth, and figure out how big the shark was.
Mhm.
See? So posterior teeth in sharks are the ones that are way in the back where the jaw meets. And those are the smallest teeth. You want to pull up that megalodon jaw you had, DA? The one with that's looking, eating a baby great white?
There
And
you
by the
go.
way, that would be a baby great white.
Oh, yeah.
Might be long when they're born. But you see how the up at the top, like right, see how tiny those teeth are there? On the
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Okay, those are the posterior teeth. They get smaller and smaller as they approach the joint. Okay, that's just the way it is. Every shark's jaws are like that. Okay, so all right, let's lose that, please. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So what I was able to do is there are now 2 complete sets of Megalodon jaws out there, and I was able to match teeth from my private collection, most of which are from warm water, by the way, and figure out how big the mother shark was that had those teeth. See, so the funny thing is, so this tooth here, okay, this looks like, oh, it's a decent sized shark tooth. This is a very posterior tooth. You see how wide it is, but the enamel is very short.
Yeah.
The further back in the jaw they get, the wider the crown. I mean, sorry, wider the root gets, and the shorter the crown. Okay, so this tooth was the one I just showed you, was the astonishing one, because this one from the upper jaw is like either a number 9 or a number 10. Okay, they have, I think, 11 in the upper jaw. So this tooth, when you measure it out with the sets that we have, is like double the size of the existing jaws, almost. So, which means that the shark that had this tooth, what's the biggest Megalodon teeth, let's put it this way, that you've heard of? 6.5, 7 inches, something like that?
Something like that,
Yeah.
So when I scaled this up to the largest tooth that would have been in this shark's jaw, if this was a 9, if memory serves, okay, the mother shark had teeth, the biggest teeth, 8.5 inches long, which is insane.
That's a big tooth.
Yeah.
But, okay, if it's a 10, and this is the crazy part, because it's hard, you can't really say either way. It looks like it could be either. And I talked to Seth Sorensen from Fossil Shack, the main paleontologist, and even he's an expert. He said it could be a 10, it could be a 9. It's really tough to say. The root kind of looks like a 10. The enamel looks more like a 9. You're sort of like in between. If it's a 10, this shark's largest teeth were like 10 inches long.
Holy
I don't
moly.
really think about it.
That's
When
crazy.
he asked me how big would its tooth be if that was a 10, I was like, I don't want to talk about it. Okay,
Jeez.
because it's like insane. But the minimum, this mother shark had teeth that were like 8.5 inches long, being conservative. Okay, which means that she was like a 60-foot beast.
Jeez.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
what would the tonnage be on a 60-foot shark?
Well, let's see. A 50-footer would weigh 40 tons, roughly.
Holy crap.
Hold on, I'll tell you in a second. Let's see here. So we got. No. Okay, so 1.2. Almost 70 tons.
Jesus.
Oh
Mary.
my
Yeah.
God.
And
That
considering.
is a big animal.
Yes, considering that animals tend to get bulkier as they get bigger as well, I would say 70 plus tons. Honestly, I mean, she would not be a fast swimming critter. Probably not much faster than
Neither is a certain fat bald author.
Yeah.
I would say in water deep enough, it would outswim me
That's-
easily.
yes. Even if it was only swimming at like 8 miles an hour, it would still catch you. I think
Yeah.
the fastest human swimmers swim like what, 2 or 3 miles an hour.
Something like that.
Right,
Yeah.
slow. So
He could swim 1 mile an hour and beat me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big shark.
yeah, but that was one of my Megalodon theories and stuff that I enjoy, like digging out information on these things and putting out theories and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So
That
a
is
lot of people got upset about my Megalodon scavenger theory. A lot of the Meg fanboys, and stuff like that. Oh, our shark was not a scavenger. It was a vicious hunter that swam at 70 miles an hour and jumped in the sky and took planes out of the sky. Only on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Any
Okay.
big predator is a scavenger.
Well,
Yeah.
that's like
They're going to go where the easiest meal source is. If they find a carcass, they're going to feed on it.
Right.
Well-
the heat Jack Horner took when he made the claim about the Tyrannosaurus Rex being a scavenger.
Hmm.
Well, we look at that all the time with big predators now.
Yeah.
They will
lions.
not pass up an easy meal.
Yeah, lions
Yeah.
and tigers, they do the same thing.
It's
So it
most
doesn't-
reward versus least risk.
right.
Yeah, but the thing that upset them was that my research suggested that as the sharks got into adulthood, they switched from being, when they were younger, they were primary hunters or primary predators and opportunistic scavengers, which is what
Right.
you're talking about, to when they became adults, they were so cumbersome and unwieldy and slow that they got almost all their protein from carcasses instead.
Well,
So they
great
became
whites do that.
primary, right?
Great
They
whites
became
do it.
primary
They-
scavengers and
Right.
opportunistic predators. See,
Right.
and the teeth back that up. You see, now look, check this out. So this is a cast. Obviously, I don't have white. Actually, I do have 2 white megalodon teeth, real ones.
Do you
Okay.
really?
Yes. Yeah, they're like dirty white. You know, like ivory color. Let's put it that way. You want to see them?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hold on, give me a second. I gotta go to the display case. Just be a second.
I mean, great whites feed on whale carcasses. You see it all the time in
Oh,
videos.
absolutely.
Bob
So-
asked a question: do sharks have any bones? No, they do not.
No.
Only fossil records we ever find of sharks are the jaw. The
They
teeth
have,
and the jaws are made out of hardened cartilage. The rest of the shark will just basically completely dissolve. It's cartilage, just like the same stuff that makes up your ear or the tip of your nose.
Right.
That's why sharks can turn in their own body length. If something's behind it, they can whip around so fast.
Let's see.
Honey, I'm home. Okay, so here's. I'll build both of them up here.
Let's see.
So these 2
Jesus.
bad girls.
Whoa.
Okay, as you can see, they're like white if you don't brush your teeth for a few weeks.
Okay.
Okay, razor sharp, serrations, etc. Okay,
Yeah,
They're like-
still razor sharp to this day from 1,000,000 of
Mhm.
years ago. Yeah.
So what happens with the teeth is, I found that these upper anterior teeth, meaning in the front of the jaw and the upper
Right.
jaw, right, the maxillary teeth, they have this specialization in their crown. And if you look at this, this is a cast of a 6-inch megalodon tooth. So this would equate us to probably a shark in the 45-foot range, something like that.
That's
Okay.
still big.
Oh yeah, it's still big. So if you look at that, and where is that other bad boy? Now this is a 3¼ inch white shark tooth. Okay. Now a huge size difference, obviously, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. But if I move the white shark tooth closer, so they look similar in size, do you see a difference in the shape of the crown?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. See, this is a triangle,
Right.
and this one has a column here in the center of the crown, and then it has these cusps like that, that
Mhm.
look like flanges. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a spear almost.
Now, if you look at a cross section, or after we go this way, okay, actually, let's do sideways. So
See it.
sideways, this is a blade, and
It
then I
curves
got to
in.
make it bigger again, so it looks similar in size. But you see how that thick chisel like look there,
Yes. It
Okay.
like curves in with with the hump on the front end. Yeah.
and then the crown itself has. It's hard to do this here, but it has like this column in the center.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
like this chunk. It's almost like you said, a spear or a spike with these
Right.
blades on the side. So what I realized is that it was only in the megalodon. It wasn't even in Chubbutensis didn't have it like this.
Okay.
Which was related. Is that these things here turned out to be like, you know what a log splitter is?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these were designed to go between the ribs of a whale, and they would push down like this, like that. Okay, so you'd have a rib here and a rib here, and then you'd have another one of these teeth on this side of the rib. And as they started to push down, they would hit these cusps here, which are blades. See how thin they are? Like that,
Right.
like a hacksaw. Very fine serrations. The serrations on a megalodon are like half as coarse as a white shark, much finer. Like a ripsaw versus a hacksaw, literally.
Right.
So this came down and it would push here and push here. Both of these cutting surfaces would start to slice into the rib bone on both sides and squeeze it. And it would go pop, pop, like that. And literally, it would work its way through the rib cage like that. Instead of trying to smash and break, hard bone is hard to bite through, and you lose teeth. See? So you have a shark that's designed to come
Right.
up, and it would feel around with its jaws, like nom, 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 like this, mouth the prey, and then it would get its teeth slipping between the ribs, and then it would apply the full pressure. And it would pop that sucker open like a nutcracker. Now, why would it do that?
Wow.
to eat the heart, the lungs, everything that's behind the rib cage.
Right.
Right.
Smaller sharks, smaller megalodons even, couldn't bite through those rib bones. See? But the big mamas and papas, they could. But they would only have to get that degree of specialty if they were eating dead things. And that's because, number one, a whale does not lie there and let you line your jaws up on its rib and go, oh, yeah, right, hold on, a little bit, no, a little to the left. All right, now bite me, like that. The whale is obviously already dead. And if all the juicy good parts of the whale, the blubber and everything below the digestive system are already gone, then you need to get through that rib cage in order to get the heart, the lungs, the good stuff, see? So it was very important for this. This is why this evolved. It means that the sharks that had these cusps and could get through those rib cage and survive could eat and grow bigger and eat and grow bigger and pass on their genes, which means they became bigger and bigger and bigger, but they also became more like specialized in being a scavenger. And if you don't believe me, I've got a fossil whale rib here to prove it to you. Are we ready?
I gotcha.
All right, check it out. So this is a piece of Cetathea rib. It's like an extinct baleen whale. Okay, this is the flat part of the rib. This is the part that protects the internal organs. Okay, this is the outside part of the rib. Okay, so we got here. Can you can see this? You see those scars on that?
Yeah, the serrations on the side.
Those are two scores from megalodon teeth. Okay, now remember how you noticed? You said that the tooth curves a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the outside portion. The portion with the round part here. Okay, that's the lingual side of the tooth. The labial side is the flat part. Okay, the display side is the inside of the mouth when you see it on a stand. So this is the outside part. So if you look at it from the side, you see how it curves.
Right.
Okay, and you notice that these scars, they have a slight curve to them too.
Yep.
Okay, so we know this is from the upper teeth, and upper anterior. Okay, so when this comes in here, this is hard for me to do. Let's see here.
They match up.
See that this matches perfectly.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
right
crazy.
there to that. Okay, but there's multiple cuts. See,
that's nuts, man.
So the first one, I'm sorry, where is it? Here, it didn't break the rib.
Right.
The second one, it did. It was able to bite in, and you see that fracture there. I'm so it's back.
Yeah.
Right there. So it was able to do that. Press on both sides. Bam, and this rib shattered, and that's why we're holding a fragment right here of it. Okay, so that shows you that's how the feeding mechanism worked. You come up to the carcass, you chase away the smaller sharks, other species, etc. You are this 50-foot monster or bigger, and you're going to eat. And you come up to it, you feed, and when you get to that rib cage and you got to get through it, you take your gigantic jaws and your gigantic teeth and you mouth it around like pegs in holes. You find that spot and then you crush it, and you eat a gigantic 1,000-pound mouthful of rib bone and heart and lungs and whatever, and that's how you survive. See? But that was not popular with fanboys because of the fact that, like I said, everybody wants to think like their thing is this super monstrous speed demon thing. There's nothing wrong with being a 50 or 60-foot shark, that's the size of a whale, okay, that's going to, even if most of its food comes from dead things. Like DA said, if we were in the water, I'm sure it would find no problem swimming around and swallowing us all whole, nom, 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 nom. Or if a whale was wounded or having trouble giving birth or whatever it might be, it's going to make a kill, but it's evolved these morphological adaptations to do what it did.
In other words, it's not jumping out of the water and taking pterodactyls down, right?
No.
Even
no. On the side
even if you look at like modern land predators, if a grizzly bear is walking along and and it just happens to find a half-eaten moose carcass, it's not going to go, oh no, I didn't kill that myself. I will leave that for the lesser beings. It's just
well, it's been known. I mean, hunters. I mean, look at all the hunters. Most of the attacks are from hunters that took down a moose, and a bear just wanted it. Wanders upon it. I mean, it's the same thing as great whites. Great whites, they filmed them eating a whale carcass in the middle of the ocean.
Megalodon teeth be? I'm sorry. Should I answer that question?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Chairman Meow say tongue. I like this. That's cool. Those are Miocene. I don't have the thing in front of me, but I think they are like 5 million years old or something like that.
And you had another question too. Bob Foot says, how long does it take a megalodon to get to full size, and how long did they live?
I have no idea. I don't think anybody could answer that question because we don't have one to study.
Right.
You know, if we had like bones with growth rings and stuff like that, I would imagine they would live something comparable to a white shark or something.
So,
Maybe
well, using a white shark as a model, how long does it take a white shark to grow to full size?
Well, let's look that up. Everybody seems to think I'm omniscient and this infinite well.
Yeah, you're the
You're
ocean
better
guy.
than us.
No,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm
I'm from a
dumbfounded.
landlocked state. I'm not on an ocean, so
I mean, I lived in Florida.
You should know this stuff, Max. Come on.
You
I
know,
don't.
it's like I tell people when I do research. Well, first, a basking shark, which would be is a comparable size fish, or maybe a little smaller, and is also a. Sorry, my brain shut off for a second there. Oh my God, they share the same body plan. This is what happens when you don't sleep. They're both mackerel sharks. Sorry, I spaced for a second, but they live 50 years. So it would probably be something like that. But let's look up a white shark and see. I mean, being a predator obviously is a little more strenuous and stuff. And that says 70 years. So there you
John
go.
Doe just said that in the chat
Yeah.
too.
John Doe is our go-to guy in chat. We've never met him. He won't show his face, so we think he's a government agent. But he's very knowledgeable.
Yeah, especially when we start talking about certain government projects.
Yeah.
Well, you see, everybody okay, so let me tell you how my brain works. My brain is like a computer, but it's an old computer. You understand? With very limited RAM, not very good memory. Okay. So like when I write, like, let's say a scene for where there's a guy that lives in a tractor trailer, you know, like he has one of those cabs with the sleep-in cabin and all this stuff like that. Okay. You know, I do all this research on different models, Peterbilts, everything, and I get all this together so that I can write the scene and make it as believable as possible. And then in a day, I forget it.
I do the exact same thing. If I'm writing a scene, like the book I'm writing right now, I've like constantly got 8 or 9 tabs open of different Russian military vehicles, and I'll write the detail down. And when I close the tab, I'll have to go back and look it up again because of next.
Yeah, I mean, who could remember everything? You know what I mean? When I do like research for paleontology, and I've solved some great mysteries of paleontology, you know. But if they think I can remember every paper and every article and everything like that, it's impossible. You know, I just couldn't remember what a mackerel shark was a second ago. It shows you I get no sleep. See, Linda's right. Isn't a megalodon also a mackerel shark? Yes.
I forget details of my own book. My wife makes books. My wife makes fun of me. Like I'll like when I start to write the next in any series, as I've got multiple series going, I'll go back and reread the last one. She's like, "Why are you reading your own book?" I'm like, "It's called refamiliarization."
It is. You have to be able to put yourself in the zone, in the environment. Otherwise, it's like, who the heck wrote this? Yeah. You know, like 2 different people. Somebody coming out of left field. You know. Or somebody's like, "Hey, you remember that character so and so?" And you're like, "Who?"
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the guy on the corner that said something as Jake was walking by. I'm like, "Which corner? Who?"
You ever look back through your old files and find something you wrote years ago and go, "What the hell was I thinking when I wrote this?"
I found something after a book was published that I meant to put in there and I forgot, and it was good. And I'm like, "Oh," you know, like this, oh, like that kind of stuff. But anyway, I apologize for my faulty memory. You know, it's that senior citizen thing.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, Uncle John, you know, but I'm looking forward to retirement soon. I really am.
Oh, yeah, I did too until I got there.
I just need some new fishing buddies, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well,
if you live closer, I'd be happy to go with you.
Me too.
It would be my pleasure, guys. And I got a boat, so we would go out there and, like, you know, cause all sorts of problems. But you know, my dad passed away, my brother got married, he's got a baby, and he lives far. You know, it's like the crew is like, you know, my go-to guys are gone, you know. So my wife's like, "Well, you need to make new friends." And then when I started, like, I went to the strip club and started talking to the girls about the thing, he got all mad. And I'm like, "But They like the fish. What's wrong with this? You know?
Oh, I can't.
No, not smell like it.
Oh.
No.
Well, you're an Al Bundy fan, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So you remember on that show they had the Jiggly Room?
Yeah.
Well, I always wanted to get like a business and called the Jiggly Boat. You know, go out past the 12-mile limit. You know, anything goes type of stuff. You know, you're fishing. You know, whatever. I'm gonna have huge trouble for this one. But anyway,
Yeah, you are.
I'm a huge
watches the
fan
show,
of
you're
Married
big
with
shit.
Children, and my favorite episode was the one where Joe Namath showed up as a bartender.
oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
He's like, "Didn't you retire?" And such and such. He's like, "Yeah, 2 years before my knees did."
Yeah.
I always like the Halloween one where these kids come up to Al and his friends and they're like, "Aren't we scary?" And then he grabs his fat friend's t-shirt and he rips it up and shows this giant hairy belly. And he goes,
Yeah.
"You think you're scary? No,
Look at this.
this is
Yeah.
scary." And they're like, "Ah," and they drop their baskets, their food or candy, and they run off. And him and his friends pick up their candy and start eating it.
Yeah.
Nothing but class.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
He was a classy guy. Yeah.
Let's rock.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
I said that when I fought that alligator back when it tried to eat my father. You know, yeah, I regretted it. It was a very angry animal. Nothing like a man-eating reptile trying to take you down to really wake you up. You know.
And in the case of these big sharks, when I was in the Army, I had a buddy that lived in San Diego, and we had a long weekend pass, so we drove out there. And his family had a boat, and they're like, "Do you want to go deep sea fishing?" I'm like, "I've never been deep sea fishing." They're like, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "I've grew up fishing, Missouri rivers and lakes. How different can it be?" And they're like, "Oh, you're in for a treat."
Oh,
So I used to chew back then. So we get out there and they're showing me how to harness in. I'm like, why do you need to harness in? What do you need to what do you need a seatbelt on a boat on a fishing boat?
Mhm.
He's like, "Oh, you'll find out." So I get out there and I've got my drink set up. I got my pole ready. I got a chew in my mouth. I got a beer in my koozie, and I lean over to the rail to spit. And this is like a 25-foot boat. And I swear to God, a shark the size of the boat swam right under me. So I picked up my beer. I unbuckled my harness. I went up on the flying bridge, and that's where I stayed. He's like, "You don't you have big fish in Missouri?" I'm like, "Yeah, none that'll eat you."
It's true. Your biggest freshwater fish is bait out there.
Yeah. Like, you out of your damn mind. I'm not going anywhere near that thing.
That's like the first time I went gator hunting with my buddy Shane. He pulled 2 tags, and he brings his John boat, 12-foot John boat.
Did I lock up? Or somebody lock up? It wasn't me this time. Holy crap.
Oh, it wasn't me.
I think we lost Anthony for a second.
Must have been Anthony because he was in the middle of saying something.
Something about a John
I'm
boat.
back. I'm back.
Yeah, you were saying something
back.
about a John boat and we lost you.
The first time I went gator hunting, he brought a John boat, and we did it out in, oh God, it was somewhere down south. I can't remember the name of the lake, but he hooked a 10-foot gator. Now we're in a 12-foot John boat, and he's fighting this thing. This thing is dragging us all over the lake.
Mhm.
My first time doing it, I'm shitting myself because I'm like, I can see this thing. I'm like, yeah, we're going to die. We're dying tonight. Yeah. You're not going to find us. We're dying. Well, we hooked that. He brought it in. He killed it. And then we hooked the 7-footer and brought it in. But let me tell you, exhausting. I was exhausted fighting this thing with him. It was ridiculous. And people are like, "Oh, that's easy. You just go up and hit it with a bang stick." No, you don't. It's not that easy, people. Believe me.
My worst experience fishing was on the Missouri River. We were kind of in this little slough area, and I hooked something, and I'm like, "Oh, I got something big." And my brother's like, "Hey, be careful what you got." So I'm trying to reel this thing in, and it gets up close to the boat, and I see a mouthful of teeth. It was a freaking gar. He's like, "Cut the line! Cut the line!" And I did quickly. He's like, "You ain't hauling that thing in this boat. It'll beat us both to death."
That's awesome.
They get
Alligators are
6-7 feet down here, so
That's some real good eating.
yeah, they are.
Yeah, I didn't know that, Robbie. I mean, we used to throw gar back because they were trash fish, but
Oh no, they're
now
There's
good.
that
lots of people that eat them, but I
yeah,
no
but
thank
I've had it. It's real white meat, very
Yeah,
Yep.
white meat.
very good,
People would
very good.
like when I would fish, I would give them to other guys that would fish out there, and I'm like, man, I'd just throw it away. And he's like, no, I'll take it. And I'm like, man, why would you eat that? I had it. It's almost like lobster. It's crazy
Yeah.
how it tastes.
It's
So,
very
It
good.
is really good.
Yeah.
We
But
got off of
really
that. We always
scary,
get
too.
off subject, Mac.
Yeah,
We
they-
get off subject all the time. So we talk about
Oh,
fish
it's
and-
perfectly fine.
so
Yeah, we jump around.
Yeah,
That's what she said.
There's always a certain part of the show where we devolve into food.
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
why
yeah,
it
yeah.
happens, but you get enough fat guys in a room, we're eventually going to start
That's
talking about
it.
food.
By God. Yeah.
and
I
even
since I knew you were going to be talking about sharks and megalodon, I had sushi for dinner.
hey,
Uh,
A
you got
lot.
in the mood. Yeah, you
I
got
could
in the
barely
mood.
like waddle in here. I ate so much. Let me tell you.
God.
We're on 2 hours and 5 minutes, people.
Yeah, we are over the 2 hour mark, and I know it's late on East Coast time, so keeping Max up past his bedtime.
Oh, it's not that. I had promised my little one I was going to watch an episode of Juju Kaisen with her.
We'll start wrapping things up and let Max go fulfill his promise. I don't know what Juju Kaisen is, but it
It's
sounds
anime.
interesting.
It's an
It's
anime,
anime?
Japanese,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
Japanese
you lost
anime.
You lost me. I've never watched much anime.
It's
But,
hilarious because there's this insane guy named Toto, this huge muscular warrior. That it's like they're sort of fighting demons in this thing and all. And every time he meets another guy and he decides whether he or not he's going to like this guy or this guy's going to be boring or they're going to be friends or not, he asks them the same question. And he says, like, what kind of woman is your type or something like that? Or what kind of woman do you like? Like that type of stuff. And they're like, what do you mean? What kind of woman do I like? And he's like, well, my kind of woman is a tall woman with a really great. You understand? Can I
Right.
ask on here?
We've said
Yeah.
worse.
With a big, magnificent ass or something like whatever he says. He goes, what about you? And then one guy was like, well, I don't think I really need to judge people based on their, whatever. I mean, as long as the girl's nice and this, we get along. And he's like, I knew you'd be boring. And then he tries to like kill him. And then he meets this other guy and he goes, what kind of woman is your kind? He goes, me? He goes, well, I guess I'd like a tall woman with a really great ass. And then he's like, my best friend. We're brothers. I knew we were brothers from the moment I looked at you and stuff. And he starts running this crazy ideas in his head of them like running out together and playing and being best friends and all this stuff. See, Jujutsu Kaisen is awesome. There you go, Roxanne.
Yeah.
Rocks. But
Uh,
I was sitting there going, this guy is insane. But that's how he judges other guys.
Let's rock.
What kind of woman do you like? If you say, I like a short woman with, you're going to get your butt kicked. Right? It's hilarious and like insane, but at the same time, it's not my favorite character in the show.
Yeah. I sent DA a picture of his favorite. So.
Oh, great. I'm
that-
scared to look.
Well,
Yeah,
on that
the other
note,
day.
I'm glad we got to look
Yeah.
at the track for the Dogman or potential Dogman. I am not going out in the woods at night around here, obviously, especially not alone, armed or not armed, and all
Right.
that. Anything else we need to discuss?
I think we've hit the good points.
Yeah.
We definitely
Yeah.
need to get you back on, though. I think I want to talk water cryptids more, especially the one we talked about a little bit last time, the one that was seen from the cruise ship.
Oh, the Carnival Cruise Monster.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah, we need to do that again. Only we'll talk about that particular cryptid.
cool. Should I? And by the way, am I supposed to like tell people about this new book of mine? Or
Dude, absolutely
yeah.
plug away. That is the whole point. Let them know where to find you. Plug your books. Plug your stuff, man.
well, so the new book is called The Sleigh. I just got some ARCs in for it, hence this thing on here and all that. That messed up the cover, but obviously you can see there's a fire, title, demonic eyes, and all this other stuff like that.
Nice.
This is a Christmas horror thriller. Okay, let's put it this way:
Cool.
for all the people that like my marine stuff, if you think dry land is safe, you are mistaken. Okay, and if you like Christmas or anything like that, this will be for you. If you like scary stuff, you like suspense, etc. And if you don't believe in Santa Claus, after you read this, you may just change your mind. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but you never know.
Do we
But
have a link for him, DA, that I could post up for his stuff or no?
Let me grab the link and I'll put it up.
Okay.
Amazon has it on pre-sale now, and it's released on Halloween. They have Kindle right now, and there will be soft and hard covers also, they told me.
Every time I go to maxhawthorne.com, it redirects me to cronusrising.com.
It's supposed to.
Okay. Well, I just shared the link to cronusrising.com in the chat, so folks definitely check those out. He's got some great books. The Cronus Rising series freaked me out. I already didn't like the water. The main reason is when we went on vacation to Myrtle Beach, I felt something brush up against my leg in the murky water, and I practically walked on it getting back to the beach.
I had, not to keep everybody on the air, but let me think how old I was. I was really getting into fishing. I think I was around 27, and I was surf fishing with my then girlfriend. Well, she was, tanning, and I was out there. You know what a bomber lure is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so a bomber lure, those long suckers, but yay big. And I was about waist deep in, I think it was Brighton Beach or something like that. And I was casting out and retrieving, casting out and retrieving. And all the time this was going on, crabs kept grabbing my toes and stuff and ankles and stuff like that, And I knew it was crabs, so I was like, I would just kick them away, whatever, leave, I'm not edible, whatever, this type of stuff. So as I'm doing one retrieve and I really winged it out there, I see a fin following the bomber. Okay. And I'm like, wait, is that a shark? So a shark is coming toward me. Okay. And I don't know what species it was or anything like that, but it was probably about, I'm going to guess 6 or 7 feet long, something like that. It was following the bomber. And I'm like, wait, so I'm retrieving this and a shark is coming towards me. And as I keep retrieving, the shark is continuing to come towards me. Perhaps I should stop retrieving, So about 40 feet out, I stop retrieving and the fin goes under. And a second later, a crab grabs my ankle. And I went like that. And I threw the rod and I did what you said, run on water. Came back, I was like, and she was like, my girlfriend was like, what's the matter? I'm like, oh, nothing. I just, I got a cramp. I'm looking like, I'm like looking around for the fin. I'm like, can you go get my rod? It's about 5 yards out over there. It was like ruined. The sand was in the gears and all this stuff. I was like, that's enough for today, But talk about timing. It was like a bam, like that, and I literally went like.
If I'd seen a fin and something grabbed my ankle, I probably would have left a brown stream across the water as I was moving. Or looked like the old Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I probably just ruined my reputation. Everybody thinks like, he's like Tarzan and stuff like that, from the stories. But, that's what happened. Scared the hell out of me,
Talking like that, my 2 son-in-laws were out. They were doing waterscaping. You know what it is, where they plant water, or planting plants in the water.
Oh,
putting natural plants back in to.
I remember this story.
Put it back. And Danny, the one that was turned into a cop afterwards, but they were in the water probably about waist deep. Okay, and probably about 15 feet apart.
Is this in a lake or
sudden? Yeah, it's
wetlands.
like wetlands. Yeah, wetlands. And Danny was standing there, and all of a sudden, Danny starts moving sideways.
Yeah.
Okay. Danny's standing on an alligator.
On a gator.
And the alligator started moving, and Danny's just going along with it.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about treading water,
That was the biggest thing, going out there doing that stuff.
Oh, jeez.
That cover you just had up was the most popular one, DA. I'm sorry, Uncle John.
This one?
That's okay.
Oh, yeah. The guys love that cover for some reason. I don't know why. I just can never put my finger on it.
I mean, Nice looking
It's-
hair.
It's the eyeball, man. It's that
Yeah,
Oh
giant
yeah,
eyeball.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
But if
we
you-
know where your eyeball
Yeah,
is.
But if you look close, wait, put it back up for a second.
just a second.
There was an Easter egg in the eyeball. If you look, can you see it?
Is that a tooth? The reflection of a tooth?
It's a set of jaws coming.
I see it.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and that very few people, figure that out until like even now, very few people figure it out.
I see it
Yeah.
on the side, yeah, and then I see it. Yeah.
Davide
Ooh.
Bonadonna
Yeah.
painted that cover for me. He is a master paleo artist in museums throughout the world, and I was like, you got to get it so that it looks like a natural octopus eye, but put the set of pliers or jaws in there, just subtle. So if you're not really focused on that, if you're distracted by the girl, you don't notice it. But the truth is she's trapped between these two giant predators that are about to kill each other.
Very cool.
All right.
For all the cryptid fans, there's this one. This is a must-have. If you're a fan of cryptids at all, this needs to be part of your library. This is a fantastic book. It's a great resource, and it's painstakingly researched, I can tell you. The detailing in it is awesome. You guys have got to add this one to your collection. And this is a nonfiction book.
That's a cool
That's
picture.
cool. Yeah.
That's like
Thank you.
something you would see in a museum. That's the kind of stuff that the sailors would talk about.
Hmm.
They would have it on a map or something, an old map.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool.
Max, I really think you are the heir apparent to the Cussler legacy. I mean, you were the man when it comes to aquatic awesomeness. Just
I'm
very
flattered.
You don't collect cars, do you?
Cars.
Cars.
Cussler collected classic
Collecting
cars.
classic cars and stuff. He always had them on the back cover and everything. I've read every book he ever wrote.
No, yeah, I'd love to, but no, I'm only allowed to collect fossils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I collect classic cars. My wife actually lets me invest.
Really?
There you go.
It's like that meme, ever see that meme when the two girls are talking? They're like, he brings home 6 figures a month. And then they show you all these action figures he collects.
Yeah.
It's-
Not far from wrong.
yeah, that's us.
There you go.
Nice. Look at that. Hope that wasn't what growled at me.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, folks, we're going to start wrapping things up. Max, I am thrilled you joined us, man. You are you're an awesome guest, a hell of a lot of fun, and we have got to go back and do the other show. Well, maybe we can plan that for sometime closer to around Christmas time, and another month or so down the road. But I definitely want to come back and do that. Dude, you're a hell of a guy, a hell of a writer, and a wonderful guest. We really appreciate you spending time with us.
Listen, the honor is all mine, and I gave you a mention in my acknowledgement section of the new book.
Oh,
There you
really?
go.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So
You got a new
Gentlemen.
peruser here, so.
Well, Uncle John's a dedicated reader, so
Oh,
I think you may have
yeah.
picked up a new fan.
Yeah. He
yeah.
can read like you wouldn't believe, man. You want something proofread, send it to him. Trust me.
that sounds great. So that means I have 17 readers now. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
My agent is going to be like, "What? You imagine that?" I turned down an option offer for the sleigh last month.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with the terms at all.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't blame
So
you.
yeah, and there will be others, but yeah, because the screenplay is ready also. But when the right offer comes along,
I need to chat with you sometime. I'll give you a phone call and talk about writing screenplays because I would like to. I'd like
Hook
to
him
kind of
up
dip
with-
my toes
hook
in
him
that.
up. Yeah, hook him up with Jesus.
I learned from Chris Parker, who
Mhm.
is he did a Heaven is for Real
Yeah.
and a Vampire in Brooklyn. Remember that one?
That was good.
Back in the day, and tons of other stuff. He's a master of his craft, honestly, and I learned so much from him. He's a great guy. But yeah, I'm happy to help.
That would be
So it's
awesome.
even like DA's books. I don't know why nobody's even contacted him on doing like an Amazon short film or a YouTube.
That would be
or
awesome.
a Netflix series, because his stuff is, I mean, I'm sure you read it. It's just mind-blowing stuff that he's gotten. Me, I'm a big fan of Wild Hunt. That's just me. You know, but I could see his stuff being on Netflix and Amazon, especially the stuff that's on there now. I don't even watch. I'm like, this is boring.
Garbage.
This sucks. You know.
Well, the problem is you need representation.
Right.
There's literally a million writers out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, and you need somebody that can get you in front of people and find the right people. I mean, that's the end game. I mean, that's all that matters. You could be the greatest writer in the world. I mean, imagine if Michael Crichton, wrote books and then never had anybody, pushing them, etc. And he just gave them to his friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'd be great books, and then like 6 people would have them.
Right.
So, or Cussler, like you were talking about. You know what I mean? I mean, you gotta, that's the name of the game. So,
yeah, well, even like look at what's his name, the one that does all the military stuff. DA. Tom Clancy.
Oh, Tom Clancy. Well, he's gone now.
And W.E.B. Griffin.
I mean, look at all his stuff. It took, like he said, like Max
Dale
said,
Brown.
Once he got that one out there, boom, it was just.
Yeah, then everybody wants you.
Yeah.
Right.
But you got to get noticed.
Everybody wants you. They're like, oh my God, I just got to have him,
Stephen Kuntz. Yeah.
I have issues, and my pills are starting to wear off, so it's good. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm saying it right, but I'm kind of telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this stuff only lasts so long. And then the real Max comes out, and then the hair starts coming off the hair. What? Yeah, imagine that.
Are you sure it wasn't you growling at something across the street?
No, I only growl when I'm on the toilet. Told you the pills, the meds are wearing off. Okay, there's only I can only promise good behavior for 2 hours, and we're 2 hours and 20 now. So, but thank you, gentlemen. It has been an honor.
Max, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you coming on, and I'll get with you, and we'll plan that next show.
You got it, brother.
All right, brother. You have a great night.
You too.
You got a new peruser.
Awesome. I'm honored.
There you go, buddy.
Good night, Max.
Good night.
Good night, Max.
Good night, Max.
Folks, I want to thank you guys for joining us. We've had an awesome time tonight. Max is a hoot and a half. We're definitely going to have him back to talk about his work. Definitely check out CronusRising.com, or you can put in MaxHawthorne.com, but it's going to send you to CronusRising.com anyway. But all his books are available through his website. Fantastic writer, awesome guy. Just a wealth of knowledge, especially when he's got his Google tabs up. But he's a great writer, and I'm not just a friend of his; I'm a fan of his. And getting to know Max after reading some of his work was a real privilege for me, because he's one of those writers I really like. He writes. We have a very similar style. I'll leave it that way. But he writes stuff I like to read, and I can't say that about a lot of authors. A lot of authors don't. They write stuff that I'm not really particularly interested in. But he writes the kind of things I enjoy. So if you enjoy my books, you're probably going to like Max's. We've had an awesome time tonight. John Doe, get me an email with your YouTube handle, and I'll get you added as a mod. Uncle John, you're a hoot and a half. Always a pleasure to have you on. Robbie, brother, you want to do tomorrow?
Yep, gotta be back in the morning by myself until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
All right, brother. You be safe. Hey, plug your channel.
Stay safe.
What's really out there? Hopefully tomorrow, if it's going to quieten down a little bit, so I can get some of those set up to. I've got like 4 episodes I've got to get set up to go out. So hopefully that'll come out. But what's really out there? If you want to email me, what's really out there 2022@gmail.com. If you got any shows, any sightings, anything you want us to, we're kind of in upstate, but we'll go anywhere. Norm and I and Johnny, we'll look into anything we can get our hands on, and we got some really good stuff lined up here in the next couple episodes, past the ones that we've got coming out.
Cool.
Awesome. Anthony, brother, I appreciate you hanging out with me.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And appreciate you guys keeping things going when my computer was acting up.
Yeah,
I think the crap top is getting to its last legs.
I figured you've been jumping off. I'm like, oh shit, there we go.
The first time you went off,
At least I made it back.
No,
I'm waiting
first
for
time you
it to
went
just
off,
go.
though, Anthony's like, he was looking
I went-
like he was trying to look at my picture and look where I was at. He was like,
Yeah, I was like, uh-oh.
At least it let me jump back in. That's the fun part. Had it
Hopefully
just,
by-
I'm waiting for it to just go.
yeah, hopefully because we're not having a show. What is it? Wednesday or Saturday?
We have one Wednesday, but we won't have one next Saturday. I'll be making a convention appearance.
Okay.
Right.
So hopefully by Wednesday, well, no, next Saturday, at least they'll give us a break, but the following week, DA's problems hopefully will be solved. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, everything will be worked out, hopefully. So we won't have the crap top working anymore.
Yeah, we're still piecing things back together. Folks, if you want to contact us, if you've got a question or if you've got a sighting you would like to tell us about, you can contact me at daroberts@daroberts.net. I think I might have.
I got it up.
Might have deleted it. I don't see.
No, I got it up. I got it up.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's just the website, not the email. I don't see
Oh.
the email in there.
Hold on, let me see.
I think it might have gotten deleted.
Mm-hmm. No, I got your YouTube channel.
There we go. It's on the ticker.
There it is.
There you go.
Okay.
You can contact us at daroberts@daroberts.net, or if you'd like to send us something through the mail, we have that available as well. You can contact us at P.O. Box 4614, Springfield, Missouri 65808-4614. And if you guys want to join the Patreon community, we would sure appreciate that. We're doing a lot of stuff over on the Patreon. They're getting advanced looks at things. And actually, right now we've got a discussion going on the Patreon about the future books that the order of books that we're going to be coming up with in the very near future. The current project we're working on, everybody pretty much knows that. This is the newest codename Wild Hunt book. It's called Death in Dyatlov Pass. I'm about 25,000 words into the manuscript, and my goal is to have it done and hopefully out before Halloween.
Yeah.
All three of these guys are on my alpha readers team. I don't know how far Anthony's got, but Uncle John sure likes it so far.
Oh, Uncle John breezes through it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's right at 25,000, just shy of 25,000 words, maybe a couple hundred words shy. But like I said, I'm going to try to have that finished and done and out by Halloween, and that's the plan. I mean, it's
Awesome.
the 8th right now. If I can keep going at the pace I'm going, hopefully I'll have it in edits by the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Because this one's flowing really well, but this one's going to be also a little different than the others. It's the same Wild Hunt team, same cast of characters, but you're going to see some new faces, and I'm kind of digging into my writing chops on this one. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So again, help if you want to be part of the decision process on what books come up and get advanced looks at some of these books, as well as advanced looks at the covers and even some voices on the covers. Check out the Patreon community at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor. We sure appreciate each and every one of the patrons, and believe me, that the Patreon community is really, really valuable. I really appreciate those guys so much. Again,
Can't
we
leave
have
Doc out tonight either, so I got Doc's tick up on the bottom. So Doc
we couldn't
Angel
get-
Medical.
we couldn't get Doc on tonight.
yeah, he sent me a
having
message.
some technical
My
issues.
phone had died, so.
Hey,
Hey,
but
Anthony,
yeah,
who
make sure you
any of
guys
those
go.
new any of those new characters he's talking about might be?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said, do you have any idea who some of those new characters he was talking about might be?
No, I haven't read anything yet. I mean, John's been reading it.
Uncle John, it went over his head, didn't it?
There is
Yeah.
going to be a Wild Hunt book.
Keep an eye on this guy. We're not too sure about him.
There's going to be a Wild Hunt book.
I know who you're
in the
talking
very
about.
near future. That is going to be. It's going to be called codename Wild Hunt. I haven't completed the second part, but it's going to be set in the Port Chatham area, and it's probably going to have a title something to do with Port Chatham. And if you're not familiar with Port Chatham, it was a community in Alaska that was basically abandoned because of Bigfoot predation. And I'm going to set a story there, and it will be entirely new characters. There might be one or two characters that will pop up in some of the flashback scenes, but I'm not going to say who. But this will be a different team, a team in Alaska. So we've got a lot of stuff in the works, folks. A lot of books left to right, and a lot of area yet to cover. So hope you guys will be part of that journey. And I've said so many times that writing these stories are journeys we take together, and I am so privileged that so many people have taken this journey with me. Just a country kid from Route 3, Lebanon, Missouri, and to see how far these books have taken this journey is really astounding. I think I've got the newest cover up there.
Do you?
I think maybe not. Let me see. The most recent release.
I got the Marauder cover.
Yeah, put the Marauder cover up. That's the newest one.
Right there.
Yeah, that's the one that just dropped a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago. Man's Marauders, A Planet Too Far. I hope you guys will check that out.
Got to give credit to Norm on that, too.
Yeah, Norman Meredith helped create the characters and the backstory for Man's Marauders. This book series came out as a conversation between me and Norm. And there's another series that's in the works that Norm helped me come up with the backstory and come up with as well. So be looking for that. It's a spin-off series to the codename Wild Hunt. It's going to be called Project Olympus.
Didn't he design the patch, Norm, or no?
Yeah, no. We had that. I had an artist. I can't remember. Jose. I cannot remember his last name. Lives in Argentina. He designed this patch for us, and I love these patches. These are fantastic. We're working on getting those.
We got those from Norm. We got those from Norm today.
I'm looking into getting those patches done in bulk.
We know who designed that patch, though, don't we?
Yeah, we know. That was your daughter Taylor. She did an awesome job on that one. But we're looking at getting a lot more patches done and have them available in the online store. So that's in the works. It's going to take a bit of an investment on my part because those patches aren't cheap. They're kind of expensive to get patches made, but we've got several patches we want to get done, and hopefully within the next 5 to 6 months I'll be able to do that. So look for those, especially showing up at conventions, because right now the codename Wild Hunt patches are only convention exclusives, and we're going to be getting more of those as well, and eventually these patches will all make it to the online store.
Oh, there you go, right there.
There you go.
Yeah, I got mine hanging up behind me.
Yeah,
the one that Robbie did for me, and then the patches next to it. And then you got Dark Angel medical patches he got.
Mm-hmm. Doc's patches are fantastic.
Yeah.
The guy that did Doc's patches did my Wild Hunt patches, and I'm gonna have to order some more because we're running through them pretty fast.
Yeah, I love that.
Again, folks, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for spending your evening with us. We've had a fantastic time enjoying and hanging out, and Max is an awesome guest, and we are definitely going to get him back. Big shout out and thanks to all my moderators. You guys do a great job of keeping the chat flowing and keeping things civil, because occasionally things have happened. But big shout out to all my mods and all the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much, and thank you to the members of the channel as well. And you can join the channel if you're on YouTube. It's right down next to the subscribe button. There's a little button that says join, and there's a couple of different levels where you can join and be part of the channel there. But again, thank you guys so much. This has just been an awesome experience, and I hope I've come a long way in 10 years. This year is the 10th anniversary of the release of my first book. Back in July was the first book release 10 years ago, July of 2012. This is how far we've come in 10 years. Let's see where another 10 years takes us. So
hopefully in the movies.
Yeah,
the movies, man.
That would be the stuff.
Netflix, Amazon. If anybody knows anybody, please.
And thank you guys. Anthony, Robbie, Uncle John. Thank you guys.
You deserve it, buddy.
I appreciate it. And Doc, thank you, Doc. And you guys, I know you tried to get on, but you were having some glitches. I wanted to show one more thing. Make sure you guys go over to Dark Angel Medical. show them a little love. If you're needing a kit for any reason, this is the place to go. And you've used the discount code Cryptid25 for 25% off your entire order.
There it is.
If you're going to go camping, hunting, fishing, backpacking, cryptid hunting, anything you're going to do away from basic 911 services, be careful. Have a plan. Let somebody know that plan. That someone that's not going with you, that someone that knows where you're going and when you're supposed to be back. So if you become overdue, they can start the search for you. Take basic survival equipment. Take a live straw that can be used to filter water. Get a couple space blankets. Yeah, those space blankets, so those can be a lifesaver, especially if you're in some place with colder temperatures. And even, when it's not so much colder temperatures, even at night, if it starts raining, you want to conserve body heat. A life straw for filtering water, take a medical kit, take something to defend yourself. If you don't believe in firearm, get some bear spray, take a walking stick or a machete, but just be safe and make sure you come back, because we're all family here and we appreciate each and every one of you, and we want you to stick around. So everybody, again, stories are journeys we take together, and thank you guys for taking this journey with us. I hope you guys have an amazing night. We will see you this Wednesday, but again, we won't be on this coming Saturday because I'll be making a convention appearance. So thank you guys so much. I hope you had a great time. I know we did. Max was a hoot. And
I liked it.
I like that.
And I hope you guys have an awesome night. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mike.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.